If you hear any muffled screams, let me know. I'll have to go get out the baseball bat again. It's nothing serious. They just occasionally they wake up during stream. It's awkward as hell, you know.
Exploding with candy flavor.
That actually doesn't sound like the worst way to start running away from a day, you know? Wake up, have my mouth explode with candy flavor. Oh, he's back? Was he playing Fall Guys? Was that actually a thing? That is his game?
That's what he's playing.
Perfect way to start.
I'm thinking about, it gets me more and more. I don't know how I can get closer to it, but I really just want to buy Helldivers too. Like, I need some kind of reason. I need someone to say, hey, do you want to play? Oh, yeah, I'm buying it right now. But I just sit there and I'm like, I think it'd be fun to play this game. If anybody else wants to play this game, I don't know. Anybody I know, maybe.
Yeah, I watched some gameplay. It looks pretty cool. It's just I've never been into this kind of.
It looks interesting. The only thing I wasn't a big fan of is the movement seems really slow.
It just seems like Gears of War style third-person horde shooter with upgrades and fun little mini games and bastard bastion with friends. That's it. A lot of delivering liberty, I guess. A lot of overly like over the top memes about democracy and liberty and freedom. So it's just a giant joke and fun.
Liberating space from themselves.
Yeah, from the aliens that live there. That's what we do best.
We're liberating you from your property.
Exactly.
For America.
You get up these patch notes. Oh,
there he is.
Brother, so bad. Congratulations.
I have made it. So I've achieved Cosmic Cloak.
You're only 9 minutes late.
Yeah, for the 15-minute lates.
That's a new record.
Yeah, I should have. I ran though. I'm actually sweaty, so I did this for you guys.
That's you should do it for you.
I did the pizza for me, but I ran for you.
There you go. It was an even 80-20 split.
Yeah.
Be honest. Did you forget? And then when Nate tagged you, you remembered?
No. I literally just got back. I'll show you. I'm actually just sweat. Plus, I'm in sweatpants.
Mm.
So sweating.
They got to pay extra for that.
That's what those pants are for.
That is kind of their thing.
Right. Can you see me, legends?
Looking good.
Indeed, we can.
You're not.
You showed up just in time, right when we went live. It's perfect.
How do I do this?
How do you sit in a chair and talk? That is something that you're the best at. I'm confused.
Nah, he hasn't.
I only have 4. Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I was like, maybe I'll just sit out because he also.
Oh, because you only have 4 spots. Oh, look at you, fancy guys. Mine's just the Discord pop out.
Like bottom
right in the middle. No, put him right in the middle of the screen.
To hold the line.
Am I getting Piper parried now? Is this what's happening?
Yeah, dude. Riley Reid, you're getting Riley Reid, dude.
I don't know who that is. Definitely.
I thought Riley Reid was the one. Is it Piper Perry? I don't.
Yeah, wrong.
I only listen.
I know a name, but I don't know which one is which.
I have a reason. I got to attend AVN because I have friends that attend SHOT Show every year. Like all the sheriffs and all the gun lovers and everybody come down. So I get invited and dragged out there.
Down there or something?
Yeah, everybody. It's great. It's Vegas, right?
Never
hang out with everyone. Yeah.
I just don't know why my goddamn camera keeps doing this. It's so frustrating.
Same thing that happened last time.
I don't remember how I fixed it. I need to like write it down or something.
Well, while you're doing that, it's probably a good idea for me to announce I did a Ninja Go Live, so we are rolling. Welcome to episode 18.
Woohoo! Boom!
Number
18.
We got 18. We're old enough to buy lottery tickets.
And drink in Canada.
What are you betting on?
And die for your country.
It's true.
But not drink.
It is true.
But
not drink here.
Yeah.
And no gambling.
I mean, you can go to
With
Vegas and
money.
do that. Nobody's really going to care.
You could die in Vegas at 18.
You can.
So I think we have.
You can die at 18 anywhere.
It's illegal, though. It's illegal, but yes.
Yeah, you can. It's illegal to die anywhere.
It's the one
else in
thing.
the country
You have found
at
the
18.
one thing. Vegas has to draw the line somewhere.
They just arrest you for dying.
Yeah.
Las Vegas, don't come here to die.
We've got you now.
That's
You son
actually
of
a
a
good
bitch.
motto, though. Don't come here to die.
I feel like we've got a good one. I think we're pretty good with the, what happens here stays here. I'm pretty sure that's our motto. It's on like the bumper stickers and everything.
Something
It
like
is
that.
indeed.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Hey,
we
so
probably
we
should
should-
introduce. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
we should introduce our guest, the
This is a EndBoss, the #1 solo rat cleric,
That's true.
the
Yeah, you can have
1v3
that title.
master, the king of the swarm, the man who fights no one. I don't know your other titles, but
we
I
can keep these
appreciate
going.
it.
I like it.
The one I
I'm
threw
for
in
it.
was
Let's see
the
what else you got.
hegemon of holiness. I like
Ooh, that's
that.
good.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
good.
I
The
like that
anchor
one.
of AFKing.
I don't AFK. I'm never AFK. I
Well,
spend more time here than most. I'm like 18 hours deep, I got nothing else to do. Let's be real.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Episode
number
hello.
18.
Welcome to the program, sir. First time here.
Yes, I'm
First time?
excited. Yeah,
Why don't you
I've
do a
been
little
invited several
introduction?
times.
Talk to us about who you are for anybody who may not know, which is probably
Right.
not very many people within the community. But tell us who you are, where we can find you, what you're up to, what you like doing.
I am the EndBoss. I am a solo cleric enjoyer. I've been playing since I think it was playtest 2. We picked up the cleric because Wizard was it was fun fireballing my teammates, but not having heals just seemed like a detriment to the team. And everybody else healing just didn't do it right, and it's not my fault. All right. I felt more comfortable with the cleric, so we stuck with cleric and been a little cleric gamer ever since. I come from a wide variety of first-person shooter backgrounds. I have a lot of time in Overwatch, Escape from Tarkov, Apex Legends, but Dark and Darker really just hit me home. I stream like 18 hours out of every single day at twitch.tv/theEndBoss, and that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah, when EndBoss end stream at 10 hours, it's like he must have had a bad day. Like
sometimes
he got off early.
Yeah. Double digits is just standard.
So
Oh
in
my
the
God, that looks
pre-show,
so good.
even though you would consider yourself a cleric main, you were talking a little bit about Warlock. Tell us about your current love affair with the Warlock.
Well, I feel like Warlock was always in what I consider to be an overpowered state, just at all points. I just don't understand when people are complaining about every other class in the game. I'm just like, but Warlock is still there. Warlock is still there. They still exist with sustain, with tank, with clear, with everything they would possibly need. And then the recent kind of change to him, a slight balancing adjustment for the later game, I would say. And I'm stacking up all my gear. I'm going in. I feel like I've got a gear level that equals the power level. It's fun. And I'm addicted to Warlock now. I think I'm going to keep playing Warlock. I'm really having fun. Just don't make a mistake and you probably won't die.
My experience with Warlock post-patch has been, now that everything actually works and spells register and I can effectively dodge things and land my curses, the class is broken and I can't die. Unless I just, like you said, unless I make a huge mistake and I'm way out of position and phantomize off cooldown.
Yep.
The class is insane.
I
So
save
what
my
would you guys
Phantomize for every
consider?
engagement.
What would you consider the minimum amount of magic healing bonus needed for your respective builds? Is it
Like
5?
100.
Is it 8? 10?
Well, before the nerfs, it was like, for me, it was like 8 or 9 was like a good number to
Seven is
shoot
like the
for.
minimum before.
7 is like the minimum, yeah, but I was always for like at least 9. But now with the nerfs, like it feels like you need like 12 to 15 to like.
Yeah, I was rocking 12 at the start, and then I built up to 16, and then I dropped it to 15. And I think somewhere between 14 and 15 is probably the little happy spot. But I'm also one of those advocates of like keeping specific monsters. Like one little guy in every room needs to stay alive in case I got to run past him and get a dot going, and just make sure heal up to full while I'm flame walking. I've always got this little extra. Just keep an extra thing around. You need, I need something to dot. I need something to suck down.
Yeah, like a cleric teammate, with
Okay. Yeah, but I run
perseverance.
I run perseverance in PFE. You get nothing. You get no value. Come on.
But if you don't run PFE, if you just run perseverance, if you have a cleric with perseverance, you hit him with curse. Yeah, they take no damage and you heal to full, and it's actually a really fun interaction.
And
Cleric,
I will
Warlock
take
is
that
OP.
buff. I'll take the strength.
Mhm.
We love being extra strong. But yes, 14 to 15.
I've been running 20. That as much as you can get. As much as you can get. That is like the
I was
max you
gonna
can get. That with an occultist hood, demon clad, demon grips, healing on everything. The max you can get is I guess you can get 21 if you have a unique occultist hood, which is like you can't find.
And
those.
if you have a unique, if you have a spell book that has magic healing on it as well.
Yeah, well, that's always
That's
+3. Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't scale with the rarity. But yeah, 21 is the max you can get. I've been rocking 20 because it feels like old 15. They actually the scaling nerf was kind of unwarranted.
It was only
And-
10%, which is the craziest part. But I think it's a good change because what it did is it made it so that the sustain requirements to be the Hydra battery went up. So now you need to really be super geared if you want to be that pesky little bastard warlock, just popping Hydras in the door and healing off of it repeatedly. But like if you're not spending the 20 health to summon a Hydra and you're healing off of enemies, it still feels relatively the same in terms of your overall sustain.
So just so chat knows, we're talking about the most recent patch went live 4 days ago, and in that patch, Warlock got hit with a % healing nerf from 0.35 to like 0.15 or something like that on the healing. Those numbers are correct. It was a pretty big nerf. Like it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot in game. And I've been of the opinion that probably isn't how they should nerf it, because all that really does is really screw over people who don't have gear, and the people that do have gear could still just solve that problem with money, and that's not good for like your average player base.
Well, I think it also depends largely on when we get the marketplace back, because when things are actually purchasable, then you'll have people buying, X amount of like green and blue magical healing gear, sort of the lower end of the spectrum, to get to these sort of new requirements to make MH work. But it's not the same with life drain work, right? Like life drain build is still perfectly viable.
That's just
because
damage.
It's damage based rather than MH based. So it is interesting that they made Curse Lock the most expensive build in the game when it was already the most expensive build. I thought in the past 7 to 12 was good. Now you guys are saying you need like 15 to 21.
Yeah,
That's insane.
It doesn't start feeling okay to play until you hit 14 now.
it's not that bad. Like I think there's probably a better way they could handle the nerf. Like I was theorizing, like maybe if they just put like a soft cap on magical healing, kind of like they did with like putting a cap on movement speed and stuff. Like if once you hit 12 healing, you can't get any higher, or like it's very diminishing returns above 12. So like
It's like
people
a 2 to 1 ratio.
Yeah, people could still build like the 9 and 10 like reasonably and be very strong, but those people who were building 15, 20 back when it was scaling much higher, they couldn't just cast one curse and heal for 200, because like
So
that was the problem.
Would you nerf the frequency of magic healing, or like how high it goes on the items? Because if you make it so that the cap is 12 and like it's supposed to scale to a relevancy of 12, then you open up warlocks to be able to then access a bunch of other stats, because now they don't care as much about hitting that huge threshold of like 16 plus.
Yeah, I think that's fine, because like the problem is the healing, right? Like I'm not really like dying to a curse like man, that guy's doing so much damage. I mean, well, obviously, but compared to other classes, like they're not doing as much damage as Ranger, as Wizard, as a Bard.
Not as much burst damage, but still it's sustained. Like Warlock just has everything in their arsenal to do whatever they want at most opportunities. You take Dark Bolt for range, you got your tank with your Hydra, you've got your life drain or suck down, whatever you need. You just have to play it's like a Swiss Army knife of ass whoop, and it's constantly roaming through the map.
It's
a big fight. If you fight a Warlock who plays at his perfect, like if you were to code an AI to play something perfectly and it's a Warlock, they're pretty much unkillable. I feel like, playing the right position, not getting caught out in the main focus, like you're just unstoppable. Just don't get burst down, keep those things at arm's length, control with the Hydra, reposition through door. Like it's insane, the power of a really well played high skill cap Warlock.
And it's also like a lot of fun, and they've been adding so much to Warlock. Like I haven't messed with Demon Form yet, but I've seen some people cooking. Like I think Demon Form might actually be good. Like there's like so many different builds for Warlock. It has like probably the most build diversity of any class.
Agreed.
I think, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But let's leave, PDR Cleric and all the different things completely untouched while just revamping everything. It's a little salty on the lack of Cleric attention. Like we get a little tweak it's like they'll like get a little wrench out and kind of crank something and just go, We did something.
The past 3 or 4 hotfixes, they just they throw in a little cleric love every patch. Just a little more. It's like, ooh, we get a little faster casting heal.
Yeah,
ooh, you got 10 spells
How
back.
much more do you want? You got holy strike damage.
I want a
slingshot spell. Like how much more?
Tiny little T-Rex range. Everybody else has extended range, and we got nothing. If you walk away from a cleric, if you choose not to fight that cleric, then guess what? You win.
You can't do anything about it. Yep.
We can do nothing about it.
In solos, yes.
Go fast and Holy Strike, yeah. It's from an aspect of trying to balance solos versus trios, but there are some spells I'm saying in Cleric which are completely avoided as far as just why does that exist? Divine Protection, why is that even a thing? Can we do something with it now? Like maybe look at it, increase duration, reduce cooldown, but Warlock's getting brand new spells and everybody else getting tweaks. There is dead spells that are completely avoided for whatever reason I don't know. That's all. Lots of things we can get.
They buffed Warlocks, and Boss is actually pretty good now.
I think Cleric's got a lot of good buffs.
I'm not saying we didn't. I'm just saying.
To Warlock, that was more based for duos and trios, right? Because you didn't have very many high-tier Warlocks zooming around solos, because in solos, Warlocks get dumpstered. That class is trash. Rangers destroy them. Rogues destroy them. Slayers destroy them. I played the hell out of that class, dude. So, they get stomped. You could be in 15 keys and get killed by a gray rogue with
You kept a ranger one-shot you. A ranger will one-shot you, and if you phantomize in solos, you'll just get run down while you're
they'll
phantomized.
Chase you down, and then they'll kill you the second you're out of phantomize.
In like duos and trios, right? If you pop phantomize, you could move around. You have like teammates to peel for you. You have like a 6-second window where teammates to peel for you. And in solos, like if you don't have more movement speed than the other person, you're just delaying the inevitable type of thing.
Don't get caught off guard with that advantage. Like you're
trying to get your
first
MH
strike.
Off, like you Hydra, you're already low. You try to Hydra drink, you just killed yourself, or they're just pressuring you anyway. But
I don't get into fights where
change.
I really don't get into those pressure situations where I walk into a room unexpecting a rogue landmine to be sitting in some kind of corner. Like I play off the Hydra as a little scanner every single movement I make. I make sure there's tons of audio. I'm watching for signs of life. It's really hard in that I've noticed to get a fucking complete and utter like, oh shit moment out of me. And I think that's just a lot of methodical timing, game sense, and paying attention to where the fuck I'm going. But that's the biggest problem I find on Warlock is getting those, like, if you're oh shitted, you're dead. And that's with most classes, getting oh shitted is a death sentence. But if you're paying attention and moving slow, it's a cleric's like creed, is to make sure, because you got nothing else but game sense when you're playing a cleric. So you're checking for any signs. If there's going to be something around you, you need to be fully buffed, walk in there prodded, scanning every single aspect. So I think that translates well into Warlock is just avoiding those first strike moments. If I'm going to be in somewhere where I think my pants aren't my ankles, I'll find another fucking way.
Or you throw a Hydra and you just,
throw Hydra, suck it. And
that's sort of my take on it too. Like I think Warlock in Ruins, Warlock, aside from a ranger that can reliably hit every shot, Warlock is borderline unkillable. It's once you get down to Crypts and Inferno, when you're in closer quarters combat. My experience is that I don't really care too much about Warlock on most classes. It's when I'm playing PDR fighter where I see a Warlock and I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Oh yeah. That's it. It's like fighting a ranger or fighting a wizard on a cleric. I'm sure that I look like they come in the pregame lobby, the little grubby fingers are like, ooh. I remember Katie used to come in there and she'd be like, what you got for me, EndBoss? Like, please don't touch me. And she'd just come right after me and just takes my kit. That's it. If she's got full spells, if they're fully, that's just a fight you don't win, so you don't take it from the beginning. It's like, how do you fight a ranger in an open field? Don't be there.
You don't.
The
problem is when you get into like a checkmate situation, which I think is what feels the worst about this kind of game, is where you have so much invested in a kit and you can get into somewhat of a checkmate situation. Obviously, there's always something you can do, and there's always room for error on the other person's side. But if the other person commits no errors, and you're in a bad spot when they catch you, like fighting some mobs, and they just happen to roll up because you can't hear them, and it's like you're checkmated by the class. It does suck, but
some games you are dead before you even know it. You've spawned in. There's 3 squads around you that just happen to clear in a direction straight at you. It's going to be a third-party city. Even if you win the first fight, you're going to get killed by the second. There are some situations where you are spawned in and you are just sentenced to die. That's it. That's the nature of these types of games. There's going to be a gold squad that's ratting the corners you didn't know about. You didn't inspect them in the pregame. They joined with 3 seconds left. There's just variables you can't deal with, and you just die. That's it. It sucks, but there are situations where when you peel back every layer of it, you're like, I could have committed no errors and still gotten shit on. That's just it.
Yep. 100%.
Sorry.
Oh, that's a good way to kick things off. Yeah.
It's in a really good spot. It's pretty strong everywhere. The nerf was good to bring their power down, but maybe not the right way to nerf it because it sort of just makes it worse for lower end players. But overall, Warlock's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I always like kind of similar opinion to like when they did the wizard nerfs back in the day. Whereas I agree that things have to be nerfed. I just like disagree with how they nerfed him because, like I said, this just hurts the lower end of players, and I'm not for that.
Now, I still think that we're going to see a big change with the addition of the marketplace, and that, like you were saying, it's somewhat tied to the addition of an auction house or a marketplace because the availability of gear going up in such a way. I'm going to play my Warlock more now than ever because I can just go click and gear it up as quickly as I need. I don't really care about the price so much, but now that the accessibility to gear is that high, the speed that getting into another lobby is going to be so much faster. I feel like it was a direct nerf with the availability of gear and the addition of the marketplace. I think that those two things are tied together, and that's why they put them together in the patch. So we got to wait and see where all the cards lie, where everything falls as far as the availability of gear and marketplace impact.
Let's just dive into it because we had a lot of stuff in the most recent patch, but the biggest thing, at least in my opinion, is the implementation of the marketplace. We had it for a few hours and it was unfortunately taken down, and it was very buggy when it was up, but when it was up and it was working, it was beautiful. I needed things. I went to the marketplace, I typed in what I needed, and I bought them. It's crazy.
And everything's price was pretty normal.
I didn't have a crystal sword. You know what I did? I went and bought a crystal sword. I didn't fucking have to go into trade chat and fucking haggle for pennies and dimes
check your vendors
with some guy asking me to offer for this fucking shitty blue crystal sword that I don't even want, but I just can't find another one. God, I was so happy that they finally implemented it. It was so convenient. When I died in raid and I could just like go back and buy a gear set reasonably fast and reasonably like cheap, this is going to change the game. Like, this is going to change the game more than anything else has changed the game in the past. Like, people are just going to be wearing proper kits most of the time, and people are going to be selling stuff, and people are going to be making money, and people are going to be playing the market. It's just going to be so much better, and it's crazy to me that Iron Mace was so against the marketplace for so long that it's just crazy.
I understand why. Being from like the Diablo 2 and kind of like the classic era, like EQ sort of, there was no centralized system for purchasing that. It was a really human feel. I get that they want like more interaction in between the player base, but there's a level of convenience that's offered that can't be overlooked in that situation. I definitely agree. Like, I'm that era, I'm that old guy. I love that sort of feeling. I like to haggle. I like to get that money. But fuck no, man. I don't want to spend 20 minutes out of raid. Tarkov already abuses my time.
Okay, wait. So everyone here tried Dungeonborne. Now we have the marketplace. It'll come back at some point, I hope. Do we feel... I've brought this up in the past, and I feel very strongly. Do you guys agree that gold is sort of an obsolete item and it should not be something that's dropping in game? It should instead just be tied to an account-wide amount counter that is pulled from whenever you buy or sell things.
You just mean account-wide gold? Yeah,
just gold is not like an item you pick up. It's just something that is attached to your character. I feel like a lot of people don't like it's worthless to pick up gold in raid now because you get so much treasure and stuff. I can't tell you how many times I just drop gold bags for rings or for a treasure for AP or for candy or for prod pots or whatever. It feels like it shouldn't be an item anymore, and I feel like if that's extra exacerbated by when the market did work and I sold something and then 12 billion gold was in my inventory and it's like, great, now I got to deal with all this and it's eating up space in my stash. Should we maybe just make gold its own stash that gets sent to or retrieved from when you buy or sell things?
I mean, I'm for that. I was going to reference Tarkov, but Tarkov actually doesn't have that. But it feels like Tarkov has that because their containers are so fucking big that you could have one money case full of 50,000 rubles and it's a non-issue.
How much do they stack? How many
it does becomes an issue. It's 500,000 per stack, and I remember on my like ultra rat wipe, I was like, I want 100 mil cash. So that was my goal because I ran out of shit to do. Kappa Enjoyer, we kind of beat Tarkov. You set your own goals. Yes, cash takes up a good amount of space at that level. And I know that there's some big streamers that have gotten like over 1 billion rubles and just insane amounts of money. But yeah, the storage in Tarkov is overall better, not just because of a money box, but you've got med boxes, you've got like weapons crates and everything, ammo crates. You can store everything in a box. You can store boxes within boxes. You used to, some of the boxes. But yeah, it was very good for the storage aspect. But I agree, having account-wide gold would just free up so much space. But I think that's also part of the problem. I don't know how their gold is coded into the system, kind of like as just an item itself. So I don't know if they could like move gold over entirely out of being an actual physical state of currency or whatever the fuck they would do from a technical standpoint. Because that's a pretty big endeavor. But also buying an item for 10,000 gold or selling an item, do I get it all in bags? Because how long is it going to take me to actually collect that?
It's literally just gold.
Yeah, so
sacks I put into your inventory.
Yeah, this is going to create a lot of problems.
Bags as you take it back would be an improvement over it just giving you straight gold. But
they put a mailbox.
I mean, one of the things that happens right now is that if you bring a gold coin pouch or a gold coin chest into your inventory,
the handle status,
it auto-fills that stuff first. So probably when you're pulling stuff from the marketplace, you just need to put a gold coin chest in your inventory, and then it would autofill that to the max. So I do
try it when we have the marketplace.
Yeah, and I think that an account-wide gold, where it's not like a tangible thing that takes up space, is a cool idea. But I kind of like Tarkov's system, and I also like our system because it puts an emphasis on valuing a gold coin pouch and a gold coin chest. Just like in Tarkov, you're like, I can't wait to get a money box or like a key chain. Here, we're like, I can't wait to get a gold coin chest. And now it's easier than ever to get that because you get it through questing. And there's so many, there's a pile in Caverns, there's 3 piles in Goblin. There's a multitude of piles everywhere. So like you can pull the legendary gems, you can pull a gold coin chest. So I kind of like it.
And you also could just go buy a gold chest in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, since we're on the topic of kind of marketplace transactions, how do we feel about the fact that now you can buy items for an infinite amount? I think the max you can list something for is 99,999 gold. I think.
I thought it might have been. I thought it was 50.
I saw 50.
Okay, so it might have been people just like typing in numbers, but in any case, you can spend an insane amount. So keys are intrinsically going to be devalued from where they were at the point where we got them up to like 13K last wipe. They're never going to hit that point again, right? With the marketplace, when you can just buy things for whatever amount of gold, they're still good for downsizing your inventory for having a high value item if we are going to keep the physical gold. But do we think it's healthy to have the marketplace in such a state where you can spend any amount and 1250 is no longer the trade cap? Do we think that? I mean, I hated the fact that keys got to such an insane price value, especially because I always wished they would just make them the bind on pickup to incentivize people to use them more.
I actually loved that system because it meant new players of the game and poorer players. If you got a GK, you were like, I just made 13K. Like I just paid for like 2 weeks worth of gear. And now that we have like a capitalistic market, you can already see the price of keys drop to like 1,900 on the marketplace before it went down, and they were selling for like 3 to 6K before that. So I think the marketplace will force people to sell things for normative amounts. I think you're going to see like gear is going to be cheaper. Things will sell faster and more often. Like Ken was saying, you die and then you are like, I just have a set and I'm back in the dungeon. And so money is going to be moving all over the place. Isn't there a 5% tax when you list something?
I was going to say the marketplace, like what's also really good about it, this is like the first real big gold sink where gold is straight up just taken out of rotation, not just given to another player or whatnot. Like if you list something for 5K, you're losing 5%. That's money gone forever out of the system, and that's like really good for a game economy. So we'll have to like have a marketplace in for a long time to like see how that affects it, but I think that's going to be a very good thing. I don't see how it couldn't be.
I think it'll also help, like you said, normalize the prices a bit. I immediately saw the effect when the market went up. There was people listing. You could see 2 items with very similar stats with wildly different prices, like a Armet with 5 fizz power and 4 health for like 700 gold, and then somebody listing it for an actually realistic price of like between 200 and 300 gold. We're gonna stop having people, I think, trying to sell things for way more than they're worth, but also people will start to have a little bit more value on some of their items because I think some people will just short sell because they don't want to spend a ton of time in the trade market. So now that there's just a place where you list it and you forget about it, prices will start to normalize, and we'll see those brackets kind of to crunch down.
Yeah, just come out and call it exactly how it is. Fences are ruining the game, bro. They're out here with their spreadsheets. They're overcharging everybody, dude. They're making gear sets cost 15 keys a set, and poor little Timmy he just can't get his hound skull. You know, it sucks.
For me, I think
especially here, end of wipe, man. Oof.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
Alex. Things are expensive. I just sold an amulet that had movement speed for 5 keys. So
we'll talk
you're
about
talking like
speed.
10 to 15,000 gold for an amulet.
We're going to spend
paid actor. That was a paid actor.
Because this is an important topic, but we'll get to that.
I think for me, the marketplace is a big addition to, and I know that probably a lot of you guys get this shit about people complaining about your stashes, right? I'm not the only one. People don't, right? You get people complaining about the stash, the space.
Yeah, mine's a mess. I need a fucking wipe.
I'm about to post everything that's at least 8 slots in my inventory. That's like 30 spots on the marketplace. I don't need it to sell. I just need it to sit there for a little bit and just chill. I don't need somebody to buy it. I just need it to be gone for a little bit. So actually, a lot of my inventory is still in the perpetual marketplace right now because I got like a legendary club and some other bits that I posted before it went down. But yeah, when that comes back, I don't know how it's going to be handled in my inventory space because it's completely fucked. But that's just nice for every character, right? It's not like account wide. It's every single character that has access now has 30 slots to just post stuff up there.
I thought it was 10 slots. It's 30 per character.
10.
Isn't it 30?
I thought it was 10.
I saw a lot of slots. Okay, well, 10 slots per character is still plenty.
I think
on the topic, how do we feel about 10 slots? Do you think 10 is too little, too much?
That's a good amount.
I think it's too much even, honestly.
I mean, look at Tarkov, you can list 3 items.
Yeah, I know. I feel like if you want the marketplace to be like more impactful, 10 items is good. So 10 items is a great place, but overall, I feel like if I was to design it, I would want, if I'm still putting any effort into the trading post and like the actual like talking areas, then I would want to take that down to like 3 items. I'd still want people to be like, all right, post my 3 big tickets, sell my surge kits and trade chat, something, Otherwise, it's just going to be exactly what you have. Might as well just pull the plug on all those channels.
Listing
them in the marketplace so I can go buy them, dude.
Yeah, same.
My current take of getting the marketplace was like I have all these items on all these characters that I'm too lazy to go to trade to sell because it's just too much of a hassle.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm in my instant inclination is to be like 10's not enough. Give me like 20 slots so I can just get rid of all this shit right now.
You can start at 10 and you can make like quests unlock more slots.
Yeah, or you can buy them for gold.
But at the same time,
so much
also
of the quest system still.
I think the current listing time is what 72 hours.
I think it's 72 hours. I don't remember exactly.
Right. So you could almost use it as like a way to hold extra items. And then like what happens with those items when the listing expires, you have to like pull it. So I do see a way that people could abuse it. But also if you limit the amount of items that people can list, it will then also incentivize people to sell things for a more reasonable price because you want those slots to open up quicker. So you're not going to put something up for way, mark something up 100% and then just let it sit there eating up on your slots. I could see people, if they have an item that they feel is really, really worth a lot of gold, they'll list it for a lot and then maybe it'll take a while to sell. But I feel like a lot of players are not going to be, listing 10 items that are going to take 72 hours to sell because they're worth so much. So maybe 10 slots is fine.
Like in a perfect world, you like go into a raid, you find some cool stuff you can add a raid, you throw it on the marketplace and you go do another raid. And if like you put it at a reasonable price, some of that's going to sell by the time you're done with the next raid. I mean, I always undersell stuff.
Player base increases.
Yeah.
To be fair, there's actually a lot less gear churn happening overall, and we haven't felt the impact yet because the marketplace isn't up. But with all of the queues and the significant reduction in players overall in the lobby, there's just going to be less. Like, let's say that maybe 13% of all gear gets eaten by the swarm over a week. Now it's going to be like 6% because there's going to be so many less PvP battles, so many less people interacting. Like every dungeon I've had so far, I haven't seen a full one ever since the queues have been changed up.
I see full dungeons pretty often.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't see full dungeons, but I actually disagree with your percentages because, like, especially the way it works right now, I like, let's just say some of my last demigod games, I would kill 3 players and I would already be full of treasure. I don't even look at what they have.
Yeah, there's
so
way
all
more
of their gear just got churned. So like
it's
all 3 of those
100%.
people, their gear is in the dungeon. The dungeon giveth and taketh, and I took treasure out. So like that's big churn. It's like more churn than there's ever been. I almost feel because it's more
the opposite just because there's less people dying. in general.
there,
Like the
though?
gear still comes out. I just feel like since there's less people in every single raid.
You're in solos.
Yeah, in solos. And I did trios. I was trying to pickpocket everybody. I was going around looking for wherever the players were, and I could not find them. I don't think I got a single full lobby. And like I said, I was on for 14, 16 hours. And that was everywhere between demigod solos and low ranking, like alt characters.
As far as gear churn goes, people have to fill 11 slots, and nobody's bringing 11 slots worth of gear out to sell for the most part. And so I think there is like inherent gear churn pretty much all the time. And people are going to want to buy like low, mid, and high end gear the second they die, and then just roll back into the dungeon. So like we'll see how it goes.
Talking about gear churn, that marketplace.
Yeah, just to touch on it, like the UI was actually good. Like it looked very clean visually. It was very clean. They like basically copy and pasted the filter system from the trade post already and put it into a marketplace. Like it felt like a good market to use if it didn't have some game breaking bugs. But I've never seen a marketplace be implemented into a MMO or a game without testing and there not be a fucking dupe bug. I called it. I called it. I called it while the servers ran out. I'm like, all right, you understand, chat? They're gonna implement marketplace. They haven't tested it. There's gonna be a dupe. And surely enough, like a couple of hours, there was a dupe.
Dude,
and
we were joking about that I was hanging out with Brian earlier. We were joking about that, like the day the patch went live. Barb's move speed has been nerfed by 5% on Rage. This has enabled a dupe. We will be rolling back.
Yeah.
Anything they change in this game ends up leading.
I was hesitant to grind because I was like, oh no, I know what's going to happen today. I know it's happening probably as we speak. And then I see the pictures posted. I'm like, do I go for demigod or do I just hold back and play some alts? And that's how we got to the Warlock.
I'm glad I stuck with it because I just started my demigod 24-hour to Bard. And everyone's like,
that would have been awful.
Duping Viola is like, there's gonna be a rollback, and I just said, I don't care. Like, I'm just gonna keep grinding. It like honestly, it's fine. I'll restart if I have to. And then they announced no rollback, so I felt good because a lot of people just logged off thinking that it was gonna be a rollback. Yeah, stick with it, baby.
Now I was worried about a roll because I literally pulled a chest like this, like a few minutes after when they announced said there might be a rollback or they announced that there was a dupe. I was like, oh crap, they're gonna roll back. I just pulled a chest. This is gonna suck. And
last time I was with you pulled a chest at the end of a wipe. I remember that. You're like, I just got a gold chest. It was like the last day before the fucking wipe when we killed Lich. That was great.
Scott, we haven't heard much from you. Talk to us about your experience with, because I know you do a lot of cleric solos. You've been doing a lot of quest grinding. How are things with the gear churn? How's the marketplace? Like as a solo specific player, you and Sobat I think are probably the people that play solos the most. How does it feel economically?
You play solo trio. It's different, EndBoss. It's different.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I've done both. So I got my cleric as high as I thought I was going to be able to get him, just playing rat solo cleric on trios. Oh. And once I got to exemplar, then I started on the solo grind. So I'm close on that right now, like 800 away from Demi, I think. So
that's 2 games.
That should be done tomorrow, hopefully. But all in all, to answer your question, so economy wise, I think things will be a little bit better. I actually agree with both Josh and EndBoss on this. I think there is a lot of gear that's being lost to the dungeon, but it's more map specific and it's certainly queue specific, right? So getting more fights in trios in ruins for sure. If you're going to ice caves and you're solo, the majority of the time people are just farming AP. And my lobbies there have been full. Every single lobby in the last 24 hours I've had in ice caves has been full. So there's definitely a lot of disparity with the rotation out between Goblin caves, ruins, and ice caves overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about trios, ruins, I feel like the gear churn is very different depending on what map you're playing. Because if you're playing trios on ruins, there's probably no gear churn because there's always a squad of rogues running around picking up everything that everybody leaves behind. Like literally every game, there's always a squad of rogues.
Especially if you're streaming, yeah, they're always there. They always know where you are.
Dude,
they're always waiting to hoover it up.
I don't stream very much when I play Dark and Darker, but when I do, I'm not big enough to have stream snipers. but I still see an entire trios of rogues just running around.
Dude, it was so funny.
I see him up there waiting, and I'm just
yesterday.
looking at them, fuckers.
Yesterday, me and Boss were doing duo pickpocket runs on ruins, and we went to the middle of the map, and there was already a 3-man of rogues just jumping on top of the elevation, and they were calling out corners. So like, Gold Squad 150, they're coming in. This is what they do all day. They just jump around fucking on the X, Y, and Z axis, running away from people and just waiting for people to die so they could just vacuum up their 20 key kits and sell them on the marketplace. It is stupid.
You ever seen Game of Thrones? Those little birds Varys has, man? There's like a fucking network of rogues that sit there and whisper into each other's ears. Code Squad 120, 20 paces. All right, cool. Everybody.
Those guys did not
get them together.
I'm just going to say, I was watching that. Those guys
were creepy.
Vibes. I didn't like their
Those
vibes.
guys were creepy.
I don't know how you can even solve the issue. I don't even know if people even call it an issue.
I don't think
you
can.
It's double jump, bro. It's been double. It's always been double jump.
They're doing
double
a good job.
Is
I
a
will say
mistake.
they've neutered a lot of the spots, including what we thought was the original spot until we saw that gaggle of rogues manipulating the terrain again. I don't know how they got up there, and they wouldn't tell us. That was the second part. We were asking. Me and Ken were like, "We're handsome guys. You should tell us how you got up there." Never said a damn thing. They even threw a throwing knife at us when we tried. Sons of bitches.
That charisma check.
Yeah.
They had.
We rolled a 20. We rolled a 20.
Yeah, they were just. They weren't having any of it. They weren't going to share their secrets. But then they got wiped by the Gold Squad. Yeah, they got wipes, as is tradition.
I said this months ago. Like when they did implement double jump, I was like, sure, it's cool, but they're gonna spend so much time and energy just changing all their maps.
Yeah,
because of it, and it's shown every patch. They're changing different spots. They're trying to get rid of cheese, and like you got to think how much of like their time and resources are just being put towards putting a band-aid on the double jump issue. And for what?
Double jump and give them dash. That's it. Yeah. Now they have dash. Everybody can complain about their mobility in another way because now they dash away instead of double jumping off to the fucking top like Batman.
Let's not include these suggestions. Now they'll have Smokepot, Invis, and dash.
I mean,
Smokepot, I think, is getting a cast. I think Smokepot's going to get a cast.
That's got to get Judgment.
I think Smokepot is going to get the same treatment Judgment has.
And throwable? I think it needs to be a throwable. So I've suggested many times. I've suggested many times that things like Smoke Pod should not be exclusive to Rogue, but it should be something that like maybe a couple of classes get access to. There should be another vendor in the game that gives you access to like more utility items because I think it increases skill expression within the game to like, I don't know, have people access to like tripwire traps.
It's like a tar trap or something, like something to slow people. Like it throws an earthquake effect, but just to slow.
When's the last time you saw a Rogue use caltrops? Never. But if it was an item that they could buy on like a limit of 2 from a vendor, they might actually start using them.
Conversely, I'd rather see things like traps get taken out of an item and used as a skill, just to completely switch up on that one. Like, I don't think those should be items at all. I think every single one of them should be a charged skill, kind of like how Second Wind or Caltrops, something like that, rather than I'm just going to log in every 30 minutes and load up the shit fest of being a dick on my character that I want to remove someone's day on.
If you limit the amount of throwable items that somebody can take into a raid, I think that kind of addresses that problem if you do add as an option. But I agree with you that many months ago, one of my suggestions was to get rid of hunter traps altogether when they were really plaguing the game. I mean, there's still a problem. You never like dying to a hunter trap because it's kind of just bullshit to walk into a trap in the dark and die. But if they switched it to like a skill that hunter has, so they have to choose it, or ranger, so that the choose that skill, and then instead of it just being this immobilization that kills you, it could be like, I don't know, a tripwire that sets off like an oil pot that slows you and lights on fire, giving a little bit of damage over time. But this is a pretty good segue into movement speed, because movement speed is something that we definitely need to talk about. If your item rolls with movement speed on it and it has any relevant stat for your class, it is instantly worth like double or triple what any other item is worth. And that is because movement speed is so crucial to every class in the game. Do we think that having movement speed on gear is a healthy stat? Because you end up with scenarios where some classes can just get gear to the teeth and you are never going to catch them. Or the requirement becomes you have to then get into the movement speed arms race. Do we like there being stats that feel mandatory like movement speed?
So, I mean, I'm not sure if it's like good amount on gear, but I know that in every game I've ever played, movement speed has always been the strongest stat.
Yes.
If there is a way that you could get movement speed on anything, you get it.
Yeah.
It's just the strongest thing you could be doing always. It's why speedrunners are so busted. It's why they had to put a movement speed cap. Like movement speed is the strongest thing. And
I want to say before this goes further, and I want you to resume, but I am a proponent. I am like a huge proponent of movement speed and having movement be a portion of the skill expression of a game, because I just love movement in any game. It just feels better. But making it a stat that just escalates an arms race where the gear becomes this divider between people on a sheer ability to actually fight. I don't know how much I like it. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it's probably a nightmare to balance too, right? Because like your balancing abilities like rage and sprint on like being able to catch up to the faster classes in shorter windows. But like on those classes that have rage and sprint, you could also just stack movement speed and then have those steroids on top of it. So like it's a nightmare to balance. I don't know how exactly to word it. Maybe it is gear. Maybe it is gear. Maybe like it is easier to balance if you just didn't have movement speed on gear. So like you could play around with the numbers at a static value that aren't always changing based on how much money somebody has. So like maybe it is like a gear problem.
People complain about sprint and rage. Rage is a different problem because it's a double dipping on stats. But sprint, here's what I'll say to people who complain about sprint, and I agree to some extent. But I challenge you to go play fighter without sprint and see how it feels.
It's why plate lock sucks. You have no sprint.
Yeah, it's mandatory to play with sprint. So at the core of the issue is movement to create gaps or to close gaps, putting it on gear. And then we talked about this last week, having some visibility on people's gear and like knowing what to expect from them by looking at them. You putting so many variables into a game that has so little time to kill and like so much value on a kit, it becomes really difficult to balance when you could see a guy in a distance and not know whether or not he's like 280 move speed with his weapon out or 310 with his weapon out. And if he presses sprint, it's a Slayer fighter, he's 350s on top of you, and you're never getting away from him. If you're a wizard or a warlock, you're just dead. How do we even start to address that? EndBoss, you talked about Cleric. They're very fucking slow no matter what you do, unless you play cast.
Yeah, this movement speed discussion doesn't include me. I don't do movement speed. You kidding me? No, if you run from me, that's it. There's no if we're in the same battlefield and we're both stacking the same stats and you're stacking exactly the same movement speed, I still have less fucking movement speed. So at the end of the day, I'm pissing into the ocean. Like I don't even bother. Movement speed as a stat isn't how I play the game anymore. I'm just not going to bother catching you. You're going to get into my little T-Rex arm range and I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to play where there's only walls of that distance around me because there is no third option. I can't fight a ranger. I can't chase a rogue. I can't catch a sprinted fighter. I can't out 1v1 a barbarian. So as a cleric, move speed is a different game that I don't even touch. I see it on my stats. I'm like, whatever, that's cool. But like as a solo cleric, yes. Yeah, I build for like the 15 agi, so I get the base increase, and then that's it. I'm playing every single corner and nook and cranny, and I'm praying that you're going to fight me in my little tiny range of death because I'm not chasing. The chase just leads me to death.
I agree. My team actually makes fun of me because I always wear like these really slow kits. I'm like, I'm not going to spend an extra 5 keys per piece of gear for movement speed when even if I do get it, I am still going to be the slowest person in the dungeon.
Yeah.
So like I'm just going to build around being an impenetrable object. And if you want to get through to my team, you have to get through me, type of thing. That's how I've always played Cleric.
Because you're like what you would think fighter should be.
Yeah,
as a frontline tank, but
exactly.
Actually,
but if I do in the back line, and then I have teammates that chase people down. I have a rogue and a ranger on my team. That if you'll run for me, you guys got it. I'll be hitting a campfire.
So before we ask the obvious question, we'll split the screen here, or on my screen we'll split the screen and ask Josh and Scott, how do you guys feel about movement speed in general? Like the fact that it's on gear and it makes everything so much more valuable because it's so important. What are the thoughts here?
Josh, you go first.
No, go ahead, Scott. I got a lot. I'm going to be the devil's advocate on this one.
Ooh.
I my gut, I haven't thought through this topic that much. My gut is to say that I think they should keep it the way that it is now. I think if you, I mean, making sure that I understand what you're saying. Are you proposing kind of passively that they take move speed off all items? Are you thinking that move speed should be equalized more across all the different classes?
I think
overall?
that it would be fun for us to test the game where we increase everyone's speed overall by a little bit and then sort of just shrink the gaps on movement speed in a proportionally somewhat, obviously you don't want a fighter that's only 5% slower than a ranger because fuck the ranger, he's never going to get to play the game. But you also don't want a Barbarian to be 350 with his weapon out, just clobbering everyone to death. Having these massive differences in move speed. The one thing that always stands out to me is, again, the rage and the sprint. When they get on top of you as a ranged class, there are scenarios where it feels like there is just nothing you can do, and maybe there isn't. And is that healthy for a game like this? Should we remove move speed altogether and just make it a more static thing, increase everybody's move speed a little bit, and shrink the gaps in movement speed a little bit?
So shrinking the gaps a little bit as a cleric main, I would certainly appreciate. But overall, I think you need some, like, rogues. As much as I complain about them, rogues need to be the fastest class in the game.
That's fine. They can be the fastest
they need
class.
to be. Barbs were the main issue because they had the best of all worlds, right? So if you bring barbs more in line, I don't think there's anything crazy going on between the rest of the classes. That's the short and sweet take.
Think again about the fact that if you have a kit that has plus 30 movement speed on it, it is inherently worth so much more than a kit that doesn't have that extra movement speed on it, just because of the movement speed. And you reach a point where that then feels inherently required. And is that okay? Are we okay with gear, a specific gear stat? Because if we remember, there was a point in time where weapon damage and plus all rolled on every piece of gear, and if you didn't have that on every piece of gear, you were shit. Right. And now we kind of have the same problem where every piece has to have movement speed, or you're just going to get kited to death. Or get run down by
like the old best stats in the game on gear were plus weapon damage and plus magic damage. Now the best stats on gear are just plus movement speed. And honestly, plus movement speed might have been the best stat previously, but we were just blinded by all this damage that maybe we didn't notice it.
You didn't need plus movement speed if you could get so much damage that you'd one-shot somebody when you got on top of it.
I think there's probably like a good middle ground where like you make it just so movement speed can only really roll on like boots and stuff, and you can get like
I can see that. And then that would actually make Lightfoot boots valuable, where they have no stat, but they give the most movement speed. And if you made them be able to roll with the most movement speed as well. But let's hear from Josh.
Yeah, Josh, what's your take?
He wants to play devil's advocate here, and I want to hear what he has to say.
Yes, I would like to play devil's advocate because I do agree with what you're saying, that we used to have +3 all, we used to have legacy stats, and that was meta. And then we swapped to weapon damage on everything, and weapon damage was meta. And like Ken said, maybe movement speed was always meta. It just came with everything else, and you didn't really necessarily need it because you could beat everybody at mid to long range when you had weapon damage. Now I tell my chat all the time, I have an exclamation mark stats command, and I think that movement speed is prio, and then plus damage, either magic or physical. You can get like 11 of each, let's just say. And then health. Those are the three that I think we prioritize. But I don't think that this is a bad meta at all. I think everybody is building movement speed, but you're sacrificing everything else. Now that they stat split, in order to get MS or Agi to give yourself speed, you don't get anything else there. So you are sacrificing either damage or health or magic power or any number of other stats in order to claim movement speed. That makes you a direct target for, like, first of all, you're faster. So you're less likely to like come around a corner. Like, you're hauling ass. So classes that are sitting on corners can just start wailing on you, and now you don't have the health pool to make up for it. I'm talking about like the lower to mid end. You're saying at the highest level, these people are like zooming around, but everyone at the highest level is zooming around. And I think that it's actually a good thing. You are sacrificing other stats to take move speed. And in saying that, it's nice to have gear with X value on it. And right now, movement speed is valued. But like Ken's saying, he doesn't take any. So you have like a separation in queues as well, where movement speed is really good in solos. But in trios and duos, you don't need as much because you have your teammates to protect you.
You do need it.
On Cleric.
Cleric is like the weird exception to the rule.
But it's because they're so tanky and they can self-heal. But also, anytime I watch Ken, both of his teammates have cranked out movement speed, and they're either able to get on top of people or get away from people like that.
Sure, but like you also have like the mid to long range poke, and you can take corners and you could wait, and like there's ways you can play without move speed. But I am saying it is meta, but I don't think that it needs to change, especially right now. I agree with Arcane in that Barbarian was out of line because you cannot get health and damage on rage plus 15%. They were hitting move speed cap without gearing for it. Now it's down to 10%. It's closer to like fighter sprint. And I feel like we're actually in a really good spot. And once we get marketplace, everybody should be building like 106. Then as long as you're at like, 15 feet away from anybody, and Barbarian uses rage, you just turn around and you run away. Usually when they rage, they pull out like their one-hander. There's still going to be situations that are dangerous, but Phantomize gives you like 10%. Rage gives you 10%. Let's just say Sprint gives you like 10%. There are ways to build to like counteract people getting directly on top of you. And all the range classes have like haste or slow or traps or what have you to try to counteract that. So I actually think that in this moment right now, after the recent patch and hotfix, we are at the closest state of true balance that we've ever been in, other than the fact that I think Wizard needs like a teleport or like something, because in solos they just get slaughtered.
I have a very different perspective on all of that, coming from the slowest class in the game and doing nothing but playing solo. Yeah, okay, everything as far as your discussion, we slipped through the cracks and we're sitting down at the base here like, please, what about us? Like,
okay, those are like Wizard and Cleric, they don't really work in solos right now. Like you just get shit on. But like that's not a movement speed issue. That's like a class balance.
So the one I'm talking about is specifically for like the balance of movement speed and disregarding it because Cleric is just the most. There's no battle a Cleric can take and bring to you if you don't want it. At the end of the day, you can just walk away. So like if we don't receive some kind of, is that the meta? Like, is every class has some way of performing damage out of arm's reach besides Cleric? So
no,
like inherently slowest movement speed.
If you built movement speed cloth and you ran like judgment and or smite plus spells, you could actually play movement.
You could die to the first ranger.
There are barely any rangers in solos, but like
or the equal geared class walks away from you because we still have a base agi that is significantly lower. Like no matter what, if we're both geared to the teeth, unless I'm hitting movement speed cap right beside you, you're going to be faster. I'm never going to reach that same agility base that gives you the movement speed inherent to catching. So it's like the battle is never going to be even for a Cleric, but also I don't have any range beyond the Holy Strike expansion. Like that's my arm's reach.
That's got a good range on it though. But if you build loose trousers and lightfoot boots,
I've built it, yeah.
Like you will catch people unless they're in like an open field. Like
unless they want to walk away.
Well, but you just
I mean, getting people into a corner is like, I could do that as a slow, methodical Cleric. Like I've walked people down. Like if I know that this is off spawn and you're a ranger and you're plinking arrows at me and I've got control, I'm going to fucking mobile fortress. I'm going to prot and I'm just going to keep marching at you. I'll soak as many fucking arrows as it takes. I'm coming to get you for shooting me off the spawn and I'll lose all my spells in doing it, but I'll win that one. That's great. I have nothing left. I got a campfire, sit down, regen for 2 minutes and become a normal fighter. But it's just, sorry.
No, I agree. You're muted.
You
muted yourself there.
Probably slingshot. I think does fix this.
I want a ranged option.
Said you're getting slingshots. Like then you'll have your poke.
So that's all I want is something that extends beyond the range of Holy Strike. Something to where you're out of that distance. I can plink damage at you because normally when people are at that distance, it's because they've decided I'm going to fuck with the Cleric. Oh, wait, I'm losing. Now I'm leaving and I'm low HP. And once they're out of that dead zone, I'm just like, no, come on. Come back. Fight me. Oh, you're closing it. Son of a bitch. Closing the door. Okay, I'll get this. Yeah. Hold on.
All right, but
I'll get
to be fair, everyone else has to leave and refresh and potion and bandage. And you're like, where are you going? I'm back to full health. Come back. Like you are back to full thing. The second you're up. So like there is
that's
like
my
a little
thing.
Counterplay on that.
If you're not hitting me, I get to do things too.
Yeah, that's your thing. So
then you come back and you hit me. Their thing is walking away, which I think is way stronger.
I don't know, man.
They have complete control.
I was on my giga juiced bard and I lamented the Cleric. I shrieked the Cleric. And then I
engaged him in 1v1 and let him kill you.
No, and
you engaged in melee and he killed you.
He smited my head for like 90 and I ran away. And then he insta-lesser healed and I was like, I'll be back in 20 minutes after I bandage and rebuff.
Exactly. And you know what? He did the same thing. He's like, fuck, that guy left. Thank God I have no prots. That was my last heal. Oh, dear Lord, I have no bandages. And he's running away like much slower. And so I had that fight last night where I was fighting against, it was a double bard team. And it was like, I would exhaust my 4 holy strikes and they would sit with survival bows and plink and then would just split off back and forth. And I'm just sitting there like, you, oh, no, you, oh, okay, oh, you, no, this one. It's just, you can't catch anything. There's nothing beyond that 4 holy strike range and you have no viability. So everything is given the option of choosing to fight you. And the things that die to a cleric, I'm sorry to say it, you died because you chose to fight that cleric. You wanted to fight him. You thought he was slim pickings. Don't you lie to me.
That's true. Yeah, I just want to chime in on one of the points that Sebit was talking about Moosewood earlier, where he's saying you have to like give up stuff and damage to build movement speed. Maybe at the low end, but we're at the high end, you just don't, right? Like a pair of golden boots has 5 strength, 2 knowledge, 2 vigor, 5 movement speed, and then percent movement speed. Like you're not really giving up anything. You already have all of the sets you want. It is just icing on the cake. And I think it's more so not just a problem with movement, but like a problem with gold gear and being able to get these lab crafted pieces of gear with 4 relevant roles that like kind of makes this the problem, in my opinion. Because
segue into the next topic.
Oop, you're lagging out a little.
Keep talking about this. Yeah, I noticed that I'm having some problems.
Well, while he's lagging out, back to my rant.
Oh, he froze too. That was like perfect timing.
The lab crafted.
But no, what you're saying, part of the problem is also that movement speed comes from 3 separate places at once. You get agility, you get plus raw movement speed, you get plus percentage movement speed. That's 3 stacking places to pick it up from, not just one inherent stat. So you're actually generating a lot more of it if you're looking for perfectly rolled pieces to get to that point. Like he's saying, if you get the nice golden gear set with agi move speed and percent, you're fucking zipping.
Yeah, and none of that is actual stats. I hear what you're saying, but if you got PDB 5%,
I know what you mean. It's not actual stats.
PDR
it's not
2.5%. Like
one missed arrow is worth all that PDR.
But consistently, I'm making boots. I'm making boots with that 5 base strength on them. They have 5 base strength. That's health and damage. Then I'll wait for knowledge. I'll get knowledge on it. Then I'll usually go for like some kind of flat health, and then movement speed on top of that, like 2 movement speeds on top of it. Like I already have everything that I ever wanted, and now I'm just also getting all this movement speed. It's just the fact that you could roll 4 RNG rolls on top of a high base number, like base stat, and you just can just wait for that to show up in your shop one day and just get it and just craft it. And over time, there's just a shit ton of it in the system. My bank is just full of these pieces of gear that never leave the system, right? Because when I die, somebody loots it. It never dies to Swarm. If I die, either the team loots it or some fucking rogue who's watching my stream loots it. But it's been pieces of gear that I've crafted have been in rotation for months. I bet. I killed a guy yesterday, and I swear to God, I saw a chest piece that I crafted weeks ago. Like I had lost weeks ago. I'm like, I lost this. This is the same piece. I know it is. I know it is. And I don't know this guy. I don't know how he got it. He probably bought it. It's probably been on 7 different kits already because it just never leaves the system.
So to summarize on the previous point, movement speed is probably okay. Maybe we should experiment with reducing how many pieces it can roll on.
Roll boots, roll maybe rings.
Slightly roll. Yeah, I would be okay with boots and rings, but it still should matter. And it does feel good on gear to get movement speed. And then to cap that off, every class should have some ability to do consistent damage at range. Do we think that's okay? I think
everybody already does except Cleric.
Cleric. The issue I have with range damage in this form that it's in right now is when teams run in with like 40 Franciscas. It's insanity.
Oh, can I just rant for a second? Sorry, you just triggered me. I ran to like this ranger today, right? There was this ranger that I was fighting, right? And he was just pegging me, 10 arrows, 12 arrows, 20 arrows, didn't reload a single time. And I shit you not, it just wasn't a ranger, it was a barbarian. He was just throwing Franciscas at me from a mile away and just never having to reload. And when I thought, I was like, surely he's out, right? Surely he's out. No, he just... There has to be something. There has to be something because, like, he didn't hit me with a melee swing. He never closed the gap, and he fucking killed me on Wizard. I hit this guy with a fucking direct fireball, an ice bolt, a zap. I slowed him. I did everything. I vised away, and he just hit
So-
me with 3 Franciscas out of 20, and I just
What-
fucking died. I was like, this is like the quintessential meme barbarian
Yeah,
moment.
It's terrible. So what if we take away keeping I don't even know if like throwing knives are good thematically for rogue. Maybe they should be limited to rogue and wizard. Get rid of Franciscas and put in a sling that just has stones as its ammo. The sling does low damage.
For frannies are fine. Frannies are fine. Like the problem is being able to bring in infinite axes. Like that's the problem. I've been saying for a while. I think they should make the tool belt bigger, right, for bards and like so you could have more stuff on your tool belt. But you can't bring in consumables maybe outside of your tool belt.
Right. Yep.
That's
So,
what
like-
somebody else was saying is that they needed to implement the quiver so that they can implement that system so they don't have to worry about arrows or other things in the inventory. You can only bring your utility slots. So you get what, like 6 traps, or I think it'd be a good limiter on that stuff.
Like say you have 10 total, you have 6 sets. So you have like 10 total, right? Like you're bringing like 6 pots, 6 bandages, a campfire, maybe a surge kit, and then you can bring like 9 axes or something. And like bards, obviously, like they do something about their instruments. Like that's a separate issue, I think. But in general, I think like limiting the amount of tools you could bring in is probably a good thing because especially normals, people are just like paying to win fights. Like I have more money than you, so I'm bringing in 100 axes and I am just going to throw these axes at you until you fall over. And that's just it's kind of boring.
Before we move into gold gear specifically, because I want to talk more about that, and also maybe a little bit into scaling and to some extent wipe time. Just to throw this idea out here as a just what if we removed throwing weapons entirely, but all of the classes that don't inherently have access to range or maybe fighter can access a sling, and it has stones that you carry in that stack like maybe up to 20 or something. It's a longer wind up time. It does low damage, but if you hit somebody, it slows them by a decent amount. Maybe like a bola system, something that's there to help them close the gap and deal a small amount of damage, but not be the suppressive tool that just guns you down while you're running away from them. Because even if you increase the tool belt size, you limited somebody to, let's say, I don't know, 10 Franciscas. If a barbarian hits you with 10 Franciscas, you're dead. You're just dead unless you're a full gold gear
but if he hit 10 Franciscas, that's fine. That he earned it at that point. But the problem is this guy threw 20 to 30 unexaggerated and he hits 3 and I lose. It fucking just sucks. Like I think maybe the easy solution is just like have a reload animation when you swap, like a slower animation, because like he was just machine gunning them. Like it was insane how fast he was throwing. It was like,
well, it's the menu option that lets you instant swap that enables that. But
they could change something just for throwing weapons in general, where you just can't chain gun them, where there's a load up time.
I would just love to see, just as an experimental thing, maybe if we ever get a large enough player base to put out the playtest server, I'd love to just try new things with the way range combat works and the way like utility throwing items work, so that they don't feel so ridiculous if somebody has a ton of them, but you're not specifically limiting them, and it helps them close the gap a little bit more. I don't know. But segueing into the gold gear thing, we're at a 90-day wipe cycle, or at least a 90-day leaderboard cycle. It could be a 100-day wipe cycle. As you mentioned, gold gear is ridiculous because you can just sit there and wait for the perfect crafts. And in the case of people with a network of players, not specifically just streamers, but people who have friends who play the game together, can just fine tune the crafts on these insane kits that are just 4 to 5 times as powerful as somebody in like a mid kit. And you just become so much more powerful that short of you just playing the worst game of your life, you're just never going to die to another team. Do we want to limit the wipe cycle a little bit more so that people aren't able to stockpile tons of gear like this, and it takes longer for this kind of gear to come into circulation? Or do we want to just put a smaller cap on the gear so that people don't become these unkillable gods that just steamroll lobbies, and then you get this lobby of 5 teams that are all just that, and they're all just out to try to kill each other?
I see Scott squirming over there. I'm curious. Yes, I'm something to say about the gold gear.
So I like the 90-day cycle as it is for a number of reasons, but number one would be the casual player, right? The casual player is going to need every bit of 90 days to get anywhere in their quest. If they're going to try to AP, if they're going to try to AP grind at all, you're going to need every bit of 90 days. Second, I know you're saying that they're unkillable, but we've got three people here that are basically elite. I would be curious, Ken, Emboss, Strange, what's the longest you've ever maintained one of your kits?
Probably 5 days. Of like consistently playing, which is like that was a very good run, and that's very rare. But and I'm also playing with like really good players and stuff.
Exactly. So I would, my argument would be that no matter how good your kit is, the dungeon's going to take it away pretty quickly. Like I would say 2 days is
never living that long.
Yeah.
I think I got 2 days about in solo. About
my
as furthest
gold
I've
gear
gotten.
sets never pay for themselves. All right, I'm wearing that for the drip and for the power, and I will be dead within a couple matches probably.
I don't play a lot of solos, so a lot of where I'm coming from is trios. And I had an experience very recent. Well, it was actually like the other day where I was playing with friends on a secondary character that was in green rank, just low commitment, really no gear. We're just goofing around, having fun, and we ran into, I shit you not, 7 games straight, just full gold teams with artifacts and stuff.
Yeah, I got killed by repose on my my rogue, my like level 1.
They committed so many mistakes and got like just they were missing everything. They were out of position, just eating hits left and right. And it's like our team never had a chance to kill them under any circumstance. Is it okay for that to happen sometimes? Yeah, I mean, it's a full loop PvP game. It's going to happen eventually. But for this, I think the compounding issue is that teams will get all these kits and then they'll have like backups of these insane kits where like, yes, if you're geared enough and you outplay them, you can steal that kit and it's a huge come up, but then they just go load up another one and you run into them again. They just take that kit back. It's a problem with the smaller player base. I feel like maybe with a larger player base.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It would average out a little bit more, but I do still agree with Ken that gold gear itself, being able to fine tune a kit to such an insane degree, is too much.
It's because it's low. It's very low risk. Like previous to the gold like meta, right? In order to get a quote unquote lab crafted set of gear, you had to like farm bosses consistently and like wait for really good rolls. And every time you do that, you're putting yourself into the dungeon, risking yourself. And now you just don't have to do that. You just could buy some gold powder or go mine naked until you have gold, and then you just sit and you just wait until you get lucky. You're just playing slots basically until you get the good piece of gear.
Remember a couple of weeks ago, like a week and a half ago, when I was like, "Hey, you want to come play trios?" You're like, "Fuck no, I don't play trios anymore." Trios. But sweaty gold teams everywhere. I can't kill this fucking.
Well, it's like I don't want to bring in that equal level of gear, and I don't want to do it unless I'm playing with like some of the high ranking sweat squad. If we're gonna all go in and sweat, I'm cool with that. But if like one of us sweats and 2 of us are just kind of chilling, it's gonna end up poorly. But I was gonna say that a lot of the problem directly stems like the gold gear influx and the refreshes. It's the vendors, right? It's the vendors' 30-minute timer on a refresh. If they had been, because they're supposed to be like 12 hours or something, or 14 hours. That's going to take away like 30 chances for rolls for gold gear a day if they're back on the normal reset schedule. So like that's a direct problem that no, it's not going to be a solution. You can do the quests on every character and you can scan all of your characters, but it would take it down by like 1,000th of the amount of rolls that you get per day to check for the gold gear. And that would kind of change the output of the perfect statted gold gear, maybe raise the value a little bit of it. But I don't know what the actual reset vendor cycle is ever going to be because it's always been, I mean, it's 30 minutes now, but then like the timers themselves, is that what Iron Mace wants? Is that this is their set every 30 minutes that we want to see the refresh?
Yes,
they've done a lot with the vendors.
The vendors should be account wide. They should just be account wide, right? You shouldn't have 7 characters checking all 7 of them every 30 minutes. It's a ridiculous, boring, annoying chore with crazy upside that could ruin the game economy. If vendors,
it also inherently benefits players who have more time to play that can get other characters. If they're not going to make quests account wide, if you have somebody who has enough time to get all of the characters up to be able to craft gold gear, and you have one person who has only one character that can craft the gold gear, that's 7 chances versus the 1 chance.
Yep.
That being said, we're talking about it's all stemmed from us talking about like the 90-day wipe cycle, and like towards the end of wipe there being just so much of this gear in rotation that it makes it very hard to play. I've been a proponent for the longest time, and my chat always gives me shit when I bring it up. And I don't understand why, because it's not really going to affect like the average player. But there should just be a durability system for gear, like whether it be a piece of gear has 20 durability and you lose 1 every time you extract. That's not going to affect your average Joe, because let's be honest, you're not surviving 20 raids. Most people aren't.
Yeah, but you're going to kill somebody who did, and they're going to get their fucking gold kit, and it's going to have 1 more use, and you're going to be like, well, fuck me. How am I supposed to know that?
Yep. I'm with EndBoss. That sounds horrible.
You don't loot it. You just read it, dude. You just read it, and then you can repair it for a fee. And it's
like
another
that
gold
guy.
sink.
Like I'm
That's
gonna
like
start being.
Tarkov.
I'm gonna start being way more aggressive.
Just get bored.
Yeah,
it just feeds the rich more.
I understand where you're coming from. Like a more of a
it.
churn system, like some kind of breakage, or like you said, repairing the gear is expensive, or it takes a quest. Like there's so much in the questing system that we still haven't even touched yet. I still want to see like the possibility of re-rolling stats on items, maybe even actually upgrading an item from purple to legendary or from legendary to unique.
Yeah.
Like a super lengthy end of quest line thing where you can take a regular gold weapon and upgrade it to a unique status and just completely re-roll it. Just one account done all the way through. It would just be really cool to have, because there's so much you can do with the questing that I feel like they haven't even touched yet.
Right.
Like stash spaces are cool and tangible rewards are nice, but holy shit, we could do so much more. And cosmetic stuff too. I'm really excited to see where they continue to drag out the questing.
I think there just has to be a way to get like some of this stuff out of rotation as some way. Like I suggested the durability, but if there's other ways you can get this stuff out, because like I said, I've seen pieces of gear that I have lost like weeks ago that just they just don't leave system because no one's ever letting them churn. It's not like your average mid gear set that like you just let go so you can get some treasure. This is like stuff that you will drop everything.
I got it for you. I got the answer. You go to ice caves. You go on the map, row 5,
there's a little pit,
column 3, and you just fall. You just fall over and over, and you'll get rid of all the gear. It'll never come back.
You just never let anyone have it. So okay, not a lot. Some of the problems that we talk about on the podcast, I think, are issues with the game being in its infancy stage and us not being able to see the development of more content further on. Also,
always,
the player base size is also a huge factor in a lot of the complaints, because you condense a wide skill range of players into a very small player base, and you're just sticking them all on the same map, because otherwise you'd have to have demigod players with 5-minute queues so that they'd all have time to queue into each other, and nobody wants that.
I want that, actually. I think
I've gone through that before.
Long. Yeah,
dude, I used to wait like 27 minutes for an Overwatch 2 queue. Like that was
sucks.
No, this is the first thing I suggested is like, in order to fill the maps, we're right now we're on a 2-minute queue across like 3 worldwide regions or more,
and that's
on like
to prevent
18 queues. Right, and all of these are good, but now in order to make up for the fact that we don't have a map rotation system, the queues need to be longer than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
It should be like 4 or 5 minutes, and then we're gonna have more churn, because like at least me on this recent demigod grind, I made it because the maps were never filling. So like as a PvP fiend, I die a lot because I take ridiculous fights, and I take fights all the time, even with a full inventory. But here, like I'm only fighting like 1 or no players per map usually. And so like at the end of my grind, I had like 40 kills across 80 goblin maps. That's only like 1 every other map.
And this is just a problem of, there's only 5,000 people in the dungeon at any given time. So, Steam release comes around, which if Marketplace gets into a reasonable state, I actually think the performance upgrades that they've done to the game have put it into a state where I would actually support it going to Steam.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that, but the servers have been so much better.
It's playable now. Yep. It's so like I don't lose my fucking mind every game to go, oh, there's a no reg, I lost my whole kit because I just couldn't hit this guy. That's awesome, sick. The game is playable now, and it doesn't have weird performance stuttering issues. In Goblin Caves, I get a normal frame rate everywhere I go on my pretty decent computer. It's if we actually went to Steam and we quadrupled the player base, or even went back to where we were, during the playtest where we had like 100K people online, most of these problems of lobbies being not spread out enough skill wise and gear wise would just go away.
No, I agree. I said we definitely are close, right? Like I said, I've been saying the servers were the biggest thing. The servers were the biggest thing, and I was worried that they weren't able to solve it. And I was impressed. Like I got into the game and I was just hitting my heels. I was like, I just started playing Cleric like this season. Like seriously, I've always played Cleric. while the service had been laggy. And I didn't realize how strong Cleric was until they fixed the lag, because I'm just hitting my heals, and this shit feels busted. When you can actually aim and reliably hit these things and not stutter, it's
to be fair. This is just the same thing with every patch cycle we go through, because there are some patches that come out and the servers are just not equipped for it. I don't think it's a server issue as much as like a development cycle, where some of the patches they put out, for example, this most recent Ice Caves update was a little bit pushed forward. And as a result of its speed, I think it had a lot of network issues and server issues that resulted from it. Because come on, it was horrible. But we've all been through like this patch is a good server patch. This is a bad patch. This is a good patch. Like it's next patch, we could be right back in the same place. I don't count this as like the break-even spot. I'm just saying, I've been there, man. I've been there. I've been on the battlefields right beside you. I run res. Like I've gone through the same stuff.
I want to shout out a guy on YouTube, and some of the people watching the cast right now might have heard of this guy or seen this video. A guy named Wrath of Koopa put out a YouTube video talking as a project management IT guy. He talked about the actual technical aspects as a project manager, being a consultant for those teams to put together QA teams and have different severity of test pipelines, and making sure that they're actually performing quality control on their patches before they go out. Small game, we are the quality testers, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
The response to that, they actually went to that video and responded. I think at the time he only had like 400 subscribers. He's gotten a lot of attention since then. They responded to him and said, hey, our Sev 1 team has been put together, and we understand that this needs to be a priority, because if we're going to release a product, it can't go to Steam, or it's just going to get review bombed and the game's going to die.
They said that, and then they released the marketplace untested and had a dupe, and then, but The marketplace thing I can almost forgive, because when it comes to database management, it is a very, very tricky beast. There is a difference between, I think, the quality control of like, okay, get a couple people from a remote server to test your game after you put out a patch on a test server, and put out a database that gets filled with 700 pages of items in an instant. It is a little bit more of a stress on their servers and their database structure. So I can kind of understand it. But overall, this patch is W, and I am hoping that we'll get a Steam release soon, so that we can actually start to identify what problems are just because there's not enough players, and what problems are because the game needs to change. No, I couldn't have said it better myself, I'm gonna be honest. I think this like long extended wipe was like a very good proof of concept. I think 90 days is the right number, right? I think 90 days is like the perfect cycle. This wipe was not perfect, obviously. But I think 90 days, 4 wipes a year, whatever if that comes out to that math or not, is good. It's good. Yeah. I think like there's going to be more quests, there's going to be more crap, there's going to be more stuff to fill in 90 days. And I feel like we're kind of close to I feel like we have like 45 to 60 days worth of content. And I feel like they'd have to add a little bit more to kind of have more fluff, more things to do. And I think they know this. I think they're working on it. I think they're working on more quests. I think they're working on more crafting. I just, we're just not there yet. I think if we go to Steam, it would probably be fine now with the serviceability. That being said, probably get Druid first.
Yeah.
Probably better do a little bit more balancing. I think it's good. Balance is fine, but it could be a little better. Barbarian's a little crazy. So we haven't even talked about the Barbarian changes, but Barbarian is still fucking busted. It's just
it's gross.
It's fucking trash in solos now. Thank God.
I like the idea.
Yeah.
I don't feel it's trash. I don't feel it's trash. I think it's still really, really strong. In Goblin Caves solo, I went from level 1 to 20 without dying and killed about 15 people that were in kits. The first couple levels, obviously, when you're making a new character, you run into nobody with anything because you're in Neophyte, which is the one place where you actually don't run into higher level players. As soon as I hit green rank, it was just a bunch of geared people, and it's like, I press Savage Roar, I hit Rage and Savage Roar, I'm on top of a melee, they're dead. They don't win. There's nothing.
Coming from a balancing place, when I talk about why frustration erupts with cleric spells, when you talk about divine protection being 4 seconds and 30% PDR for just me, and then you talk about fucking Savage Roar, which is a 50% physical power hit for 8 seconds to everything around them, that
6 seconds now.
I'm sorry. 6
But yes.
seconds. Oh, but dude,
What's
it's just
the
like when you
cooldown
look at
on
those
that?
two things.
What's the cooldown on that, by the way?
At least 90 seconds, right? At least 90 seconds.
It's got to be 90 seconds to compete with the fact that my ability is only 4 seconds for 30%, right? Oh, wait, it's not. It's just crazy. Like there's such a massive disparity in these two trees of abilities. It's like
Right.
all you have to do is look at this dying, withering plant and then look at this massive ability tree that you've got. It's like, maybe we should pour some water on this. Nah, fuck it. Let's just jack this one up. Like, come on, man. Please do something with it. Divine Protection needs a little bit of love. Like, show me that you're looking at it.
That sort of goes into the fact that, and maybe this is the one thing that's holding him back from, well, I mean, aside from legal issues, whatever that case may be, is that we still haven't gotten the training system. And they've talked a lot about multiclassing and stuff. And God knows I want a paladin class. Give me Cleric Fighter Hybrid. I will play the fuck out of that. It'll be the only thing I touch till the end of time. But yeah, I think that some of these balancing issues, again, missing the forest for the trees on Iron Mace's end, where like you're layering the system up, but we don't have the full picture of the system yet. So like these problems are really exacerbated in the short term, especially end of wipe when everybody has all the gear. It's Savage Roar is stupid. Balance is good overall, but Barb is still just a really obnoxious outlier.
I'm not even sure if it's like Barb. We were talking about gear and balance earlier, and it is very hard to balance these classes when you do have so much stuff on gear. Like, is the gear broken or is the class broken? And we were talking about it with the movement speed earlier. Like, is sprint and rage like broken abilities, or are they broken abilities when they're on classes that are already faster than other classes? Like, because from a fundamental perspective, a gameplay perspective, sprint and rage are like well-designed skills. They're short speed steroid buffs, but they're on classes where you're supposed to be slower than most people, and you have to be smart when you use these abilities to, like, you have a short window to close a gap, and then you're slow again. But when you build movement speed on a fighter, on a barbarian, and you already are the fastest person, and then you have a steroid on top of that, that's when it feels bad. So it's like, are we going to balance these classes around them having gear, or are we going to balance them around them not having gear? And that's where it becomes this weird balancing act where it's hard. It's like a weird gray area where, do we just make gear simpler so balancing classes is easier, or do we? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Sorry about that rant. That just like came to me.
Well, I agree with what you were saying. Like, barbarians should be the one thing that if you decide to face check them, you fucking lose, because it's a barbarian. That's just the
almost like
of
the cleric.
things.
Like the cleric
Yeah,
is.
well, you don't face check the barbarian, but the barbarian will face check you whether or not you've agreed to be face checked. It doesn't matter. That's the problem. Is like there's no. Oh, I should run from the big slow. Nope, he's just gonna chase me. Okay, well I'm out of range. Nope, he's gonna throw stuff at me. Like, the barbarian catches you. He's not supposed to catch you, right? Like, and that's the whole point of the barbarian, is he's big, slow, sweaty, two-handed, chunky.
Well, that's buff ball all over again, right? It's the whole problem with the game months ago, and to some extent even still now, is just anything that can increase a barbarian's ability to stick to enemy teams just makes them obnoxious. And buff ball was exactly that problem. Before Bard got even introduced, Wizard Barb Cleric was just all anybody ever ran, because you take the game away from this dynamic, skill-based fighting game to this very binary, can the barbarian catch you? If yes, then dead.
It's Pac-Man. He just runs around just waiting to gobble you up, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no fun. There's no back and forth. It's just and then it's over.
But barbarian in a base kit, if you take away Savage Roar, isn't that scary. They are, but not in the sense of like, he's going to catch me and I'm going to die. It's when they get to 230 health with 60% MDR and PDR, and they have 280 movement speed with their weapon out, and then you're like, well, the entire map could combine to fight this one guy, and he'd probably still take 2 or 3 people with him. That's where my argument for like the high end of the gear starts to come in. It's like, how do you scale a class where their ability is kill you if they catch you, don't kill you if they don't?
Yeah,
that's just barbarian.
You could also have like class specific movement speed caps, but that's like another like.
I'd be okay with that.
Like, barbarians can't get more than 310 movement speed, or maybe
but then you just have people
big
just
muscles debuff.
You just have people never happy, like, oh, I just can't catch people.
That's what I'm saying. Like I said, it's like I don't know if it's a perfect solution. It's just
You're not supposed to catch people. Play a different class. Okay,
it's a hard problem to solve.
It's like people complain about different things. You're playing the wrong class. Like you shouldn't have like either everybody has it or nobody gets it. Sort of. I feel like since every single person has that ranged option, and Cleric is just the little bastard child in the corner that doesn't get any sort of alternative, that we should grant it to Cleric. But things that are already like inherently class specific, like a ranger is going to always win that battle from a distance. I'm not going to fight the ranger, but just having the opportunity, like he's going to excel in that place. He's allowed to excel in that place. That's what he does best. Barbarian excels in melee combat. Don't check the barbarian. You should be able to walk away. You shouldn't be caught by the barbarian. Rogue, he should be pokey. He should have some burst, maybe some bleeds, maybe some poison damage, but he shouldn't go toe to toe with a barbarian and ever win that fight. Like you need to have classes that excel in their certain areas, or just give everybody everything like they're trying to multi-class. And I don't know which direction they want to take it, but I'm still going to play those patches no matter what.
It brings up a question that I asked to the podcast, and I'd like to ask this question again. Now that we're like 2 months past the first time I asked it, how would we feel about classes having more than 2 skills? What if we had 3 or 4? What if we gave classes access to like 5 skills?
I've been saying that for a while.
I think the game has a 5-skill hotbar, and it feels a little bit more like an action, like a Guild Wars style game, where you have more going on with your class. Josh has been quiet for a little while. How would you feel about? I mean, Bard has what, 1 skill that is actually usable, and it's not really. I think we talked about maybe making Chaotic Discord a skill instead of a song. It probably wouldn't be that beneficial for Bard, but I'm thinking about like Fighter getting access to a bunch of their skills that are unusable because Sprint and Second Wind are basically mandatory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think 2 months ago, I'm remembering this. I kind of said the same thing I'm going to say now, which is that there is room to have things like that, especially like maybe longer cooldowns, things that are less PvP intensive. I think would be just a fun addition, because in the end, I always say this, but PvE shouldn't be the hardest thing. It should always be PvP, right? You're fighting other players, you're fighting skills, gears, like map knowledge, all of that stuff in a PvP fight. And so, like you're saying, especially since you bring up Bard, and I just did the 24-hour Bard, like I just have 10 music. Like I have no actual skills. It's just I play music and then I left click. And so it would be fun to have like a T or a Y ability or whatever on your keyboard. But I think a lot of those should be PvE specific that way. Because like right now, you pretty much always know what to expect. When you look at someone, for the most part, with enough game knowledge, I'm like, this is what they're capable of. Or I looked at them in the pre-lobby, like I know pretty much what they have. So it would be fun to have that extra fun thing. Like you're saying, Chaotic Discord on Bard. Like all the monsters just fight each other and it's on like a 90-second cooldown. And then, Fighter has, I don't know, basically Savage Roar, and then Barbarian gets like Diablo, like what's that called when like the ancients come help you, and it's just like a PvP.
Call of the Ancients.
Yeah, so you just have like some little things that are just fun to push, and it's just like one more little fun part of the game. And so I do think that there is a lot of room for that. As far as PvP goes,
Ultimates.
No. So yes, I think yes, but the issue there is now you're third partying somebody who just used their ult, and like you just fucking killed them because you have your ult,
and they don't.
I don't know, man. It's kind
of like third partying when you're already juiced. No spells.
Yeah, but if you don't have an ult, they just like run away because they have decent move speed. Because move speed is awesome, and we should keep it.
I mean, second wind is already your ult. I mean, it's already a thing.
Yeah, and you got to campfire it back. But like, there's room for something. I agree that there can be more, and a lot of these underused items, kind of like EndBoss is saying, like maybe you get divine protection on there. You get something.
Yeah, what divine protection would be okay as a 90-second cooldown.
You son of a bitch.
If you had 5 skills and it was just it was your oh shit defensive button, that would be fine.
Yeah,
but not as you're choosing.
Not in a world where Savage Roar exists.
Right. Everybody gets potion
as long as you bring
charger,
it to 50% and it's 8 seconds long.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, it's fine.
And make it an AOE. Make everyone forced to attack me.
Side note, since you mentioned, I don't want to get on this topic, but side note, since you mentioned, I just thought something funny about the inspecting people in the pregame lobby is that they said during the interview with One Peg that they wanted the pregame lobby inspection to stay because they wanted it as a lore thing or like an ambience thing to be able to sort of scout out your opponents.
An aesthetic, I understand.
Right. So how does that work when you join in as the last team and there's 5 seconds left and you don't get to see anybody else in the lobby?
Yeah, that part
Are we
sucks.
just conveniently
nobody sees you?
That? I mean,
both ways.
but they've all got to scout each other. You are the one with the least amount of information.
You're the wild card
I
now.
just don't like it. I just don't like it. Just get rid of it.
I agree with not liking
it
it,
needs
but
to go.
You know what's
it's just
funny
from
is
the
that
competitive
I
standpoint, though.
begged the devs to get rid of it, especially if you bring a key, like they know where to find you and whatnot. But now, like I never really did it that much. I was more just mad if I brought a key. Like I'd have to chug invis pots or whatever. If I bring gold gear, I have to like strip myself and then drink invis pots. But at the same time, now it is really nice. Probably with all my knowledge, I did it a lot in my bard grind. I'll look probably because also there's less players, right? There's like 4 to 6 players in NA West Goblins right now. I just look at everybody and I'm like, okay, this is what I can expect from this dungeon. Like these are my counters. This player I should not fight. Like they're just built better. They're kind of my counter. I don't want to run into them. So I don't know. Like I think you could take
I hate
stuff
that.
from
I
other
hate
games though.
Right?
Like
I don't like it.
like the thing is like from greed is good. If I looked at somebody, it would show me like what their gear level was, like just across map. I'm like, okay, he's in purples. Like that, you guys brought it up earlier. You want to have like a distinction in gear, so I know if I should just if I'm about to just get shit on or not. I think the same thing could almost be applied with your Q and your E. Like I look at a barb that's running toward me, he has Savage Roar and Rage.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, is that a bad thing? Like now I know how to counter that.
How do you
I know
display
like
that in game without ruining some of the visibility though? Because
little
you
icon.
do. I know, but
Little
like,
icons.
yeah, but how do you have the little
Maybe
icon?
an activation mechanic where they scream and all of a sudden you know what it is.
How about it's on-
there's enough stuff
I mean,
to
I know
think
what
figure that
Savage
out.
Roar sounds like when they
Yeah,
do it.
that's
But when
what
they
I'm
do it,
saying.
I'm already getting hit by it.
Yeah, but like a warlock, I'm like, what does this guy have? Like, I feel like a lot of times I have to bait stuff out. I'm like, here comes a warlock. Like, is he gonna turn into a demon with like a fucking 200 HP, or does he have Bach and I'm about to get one shot? Like, I kind of have to bait stuff out to figure out what people have, which is good. But also, like, it wouldn't be bad. Maybe you have your own button in game. I push like period, and I can see what enemies' abilities are.
I'd be okay with like a scoreboard that doesn't show people's names, but it shows like classes and
Like League.
skills.
Yeah,
But
like
then,
you can see
but
what
then you
their
also run
level
into the
is.
problem of rogues lose the element of surprise a little bit if you get rid of that, or if you put that kind
If
of
you
thing
know
in.
there's a rogue.
See, I don't like it. Like somebody was saying, he gets to kind of plan out his entire raid, like X, Y, and Z. I have to worry about this guy. I can kill these guys, and like that. Like, sure, that's like cool for you, and like I do that stuff too. But at the end of the day, I think that leads to boring gameplay. One of my most fondest times in the dungeon when the servers were filling super fast, right? Instant queues always. You didn't get time to look at who was in your game. And like you would just get surprised. You would fight and then you would get jumped by this other gear team. You had no idea there was a super gear team in this lobby. And and if you beat them, you're like, holy crap, that was awesome. What a surprise. Like it was just more exciting. Like right now, I know I can basically guess how every raid is going to go before the raid starts. I'm like, oh, there's this juice team, there's this juice team. I'm probably gonna fight this one.
Rogues.
And then this one's probably gonna third party me, and then I'm probably gonna get fucking ratted by these rogues. Like I could almost predict how all the raids are gonna go before they happen, and it's kind of just boring. I want the surprise. I want to go into the dungeon and have no idea what's gonna happen. Yep. There could be 15 rogues in there, and sure, that's gonna suck for me. But I'd rather not know. I'd rather not know it's gonna suck for me.
Right.
I almost wonder if that's the difference between trios and solos, because like in trios you have your team, you have your squad, like you're built, and in solos
for anything,
like
yeah, built for anything in trios.
There's a lot of opportunity in solo where like let's say I kill Troll and I'm down at the treasure pile. I'm like, dude, if X or Y comes down this ramp right now, I am dead. Like I cannot win. If that barbarian comes raging down that ramp as Bard, like it's probably GG. And so like at that point, I feel like I have to know what to expect, like, but maybe not. I don't know. I like what you said too.
That's the whole point. Is you sit there and you don't know.
You're just in like that. That is fun when it's like just 15 players. Like boom, goblins. Like who knows what's in here?
Not knowing will lead to me dying more, but I think that is a better game.
At least to everyone dying.
That's fair.
That's the whole point. Is it leads to like an overall more churn, more death, more RNG. Like they didn't know you were going for troll except for the massive clubbing and shaking of the map. But you know what I mean? Like people don't go in there and immediately inspect you. They know as much as you do, which is nothing. It's a level playing field. And I like the idea of that more than anything. I like the idea of
if the barbarian doesn't know who's down there, he's not necessarily just going to rage down.
Exactly.
Bro, he's raging down that ramp. The
well, he heard you
barbarian
playing your fucking
he's got no
song
counter
there,
in the 6 foot wave. Like the 6 foot
that's a problem. That's a problem with barbarian itself.
Yeah,
but
like they ain't no way he ain't raging and pushing. He doesn't care what's down there.
In every other situation, classes if they're half decent players, they're not just going to carelessly run face forward without any kind of information. So I'm more on Ken's side here, where it's just like let's make it a mystery again. I say put us in just a regular lobby system or a regular queue system where you don't go into a lobby.
Yeah, like
Tarkov. You just
put
get
everyone in the
like
same
any
queue
other
lobby.
game.
Just put everyone in the same lobby and just put them into different matches. Do you know what I mean? Like you can just go in there, and if you want to interact with people who aren't in your game,
that's a good idea.
That's actually a really good idea.
Josh,
there's like 40 people just running around, and like they could be in any match. They could be.
You'd never know.
Naraka's. Have you played Naraka at all in the last year?
No.
This is one thing I love. This is one thing I love that they did with Naraka. I don't really play it at all. I went back and played it for like a month or two, but one thing I love about Naraka is they added this map specifically just for pre-game lobby. It's got like instruments that you can sit down and play and like make songs with your friends. There's all these little parkour spots all over the place, and anybody from any lobby can queue in there. It's open VoIP. Everybody can just talk, but it's not the lobby that you're actually queuing into the game. I would love a space like that in Dark and Darker.
That's cool.
Open up the camp, put merchants in there, have the trade market available from there. Get rid of this boring ass menu. Like I love that we're all sitting around a table. It's nice. It feels very old school. But one thing I applauded Dungeonborne for was the feel of the menu feels so good because you see a physical merchant there and there's like this little ambience to it instead of this old ass menu screen with just text everywhere. Sorry, little ramble. I would love to see something.
I feel like that's part of Dungeonborne's biggest issue is that's an 80-20 split where they put all of their effort into the merchants and the auctions and the UI and like 20% into the overall gameplay. You know, like they did a great job with everything that wasn't the gameplay itself, in my opinion. I
disagree to some extent, but I after now playing Dark and Darker where the servers work, I am still like, all right, Dungeonborne needs a lot of work. And I agree with what Josh said, his assessment that if Dungeonborne were to come out today, it'd be a 4 out of 10 game. I agree with that. The features are amazing.
You stole it from me.
No, I played it before you.
You stole it. No, you stole it. You were in my chat. I remember that. I remember the line. You're like, that's actually a perfect description. I'm going to use that. You even said you were going to use it.
I am a font of originality. I've never said anything else that anyone else has ever said.
But I hope that Dark and Darker steals from Dungeonborne and vice versa, because I want both the games to be good. I like Dungeonborne. I think it's a good game overall, but it's definitely far from the level of polish that Dark and Darker is at.
I got pickpocketed by so bad for my sex.
Wait, wow! You got
a 4 out of 10 is an original Alex story. Come on,
pickpockets my lines.
It's a 4 out of 10, dude.
He steals your opinions, dude.
Oh man, I love it.
Since we're off on random tangents right now, put Iron Man steal Castle Clouseau and put it in Dark and Darker, please.
God, please don't. That map is so boring.
No, there's too many
for like
easy
fucking
chokes.
99% of the map before I find somebody.
Yeah, but what if you put 30 teams on Castle?
Okay, I'm in, bro. 30. I know EndBoss or Kanabi's in too. You get 30 players onto a map.
No, dude, you can put 30 teams on fucking Gary's Mod Flatgrass. I'd be happy. It doesn't matter, you know. It'd be great.
All right, do we want the arena to be 3v3 or do we want it to be like 3v3v3v3? Like, how do you want it to be crazy or do you want it to be just straight skill based?
Just 3v3.
I want it to be like
just port the system from Dungeonborne.
What we just need is a custom game
10v10.
mode. Custom game mode where you can make it
10v10.
3v3 to whatever you want, like up to make a regular match, just slap in the Coliseum, do something, make a custom game mode, let the players figure it out. Overwatch did it, and that was honestly, it's really cool. There's like it's like StarCraft. You guys know StarCraft and the custom games and Warcraft and custom games. We got Dota, we got League, we got all these things. I feel like if we get custom games in this, there's a lot more opportunity for some ridiculous shit. Like even prop hunts there's opportunities galore in a custom game mode, not just an arena style, but I want to see the access go back to the players. Just give them something like Raid Boss, make everyone a bunch of naked rogues and one fully geared gold fucking cleric or some warlock, and he has to kill the horde. Just you could do so much random fun shit.
That is
I think also an unspoken benefit of that is also just the fact that if you have game modes like that where players can go and kind of blow off steam, it takes away some of the frustrations of the game, but you're still keeping players within the kind of the ecosystem of the game. So I'm all for add the custom games. We've talked about doing a 9v9 on ruins before with like special conditions where there's like maybe power-ups or like special mobs that you have to kill that'll affect the enemy team, you know, stealing some ideas from League's
I mean, after playing Tribes Ascend, bro, can you imagine capture the flag on runes 9v9?
Oh my god,
man.
yes.
That'd be sick.
Especially if they add Druid and you can carry the flag and bear
Dude,
form.
fucking Narc, Barbarian, flag carrier.
Just he's flying through the sky over the bridge, just arrows being shot from both sides, trying to pick him out. Oh man.
Can rogues
That'd be fun.
pickpocket the flag? Is it an item in your inventory? I think they should. Yeah, you get them in there real quick.
It's going to be a
naked.
utility slot. We all know it's going to be equipped utility. You're going to have to hold it. You're locked into holding the flag with negative 50 move speed.
Yeah, negative 50. True.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking sick.
You gotta throw it on the ground. Protect me.
That one's free, Iron Mace.
That
Take that
sounds
one and run with it.
Yeah. That's the best idea for the podcast so far.
I want to see to your question about multiple teams, like multi-team. I would love to see a game mode, like I've said this before, just Steel Gambit, where there's just a PvE race to kill a boss, like get through a gauntlet and kill a boss. But there's ways for the teams to fight each other. You know, if you've reached a certain goal point, you can send somebody in to attack the other team and sort of hinder them. Just stuff like that would be so fun in Dark and Darker. Again, this is all stuff that I bet Iron Mace would love to try, but we just don't have the player base to support that yet.
Also don't have the to split any resources off of fixing server issues or
Right.
I mean, if we get
just give us custom game modes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, make it open source, you know.
We're gonna get Druid before Wipe because I feel like they're gonna do the 1.0 marketplace for Wipe in 2 weeks. But if we get Druid in like the next couple days, and then we're like, this thing is super imbalanced or it's super.
I got a question. For the Druid, what state do you guys think we're going to get the Druid in? Like Warlock, level 1, like barely busted ass, no idea what we're doing, missing half the skills, spells don't work properly sort of style? Or like what percentage? I'm thinking like a 30% class, and we're going to have like 3 out of 7 proposed forms, and all this stuff is going to be missing. We're not going to know how to build it. People are going to develop a meta that's going to be gone in 2 weeks when they add another spell that's like part of the main core kit. Like, what do you think they're going to be actually percentage-wise for the Druid's release when it comes out and we finally get to play with it?
It's going to suck balls.
It's going to suck? Yeah. I'm kind of on the same.
My fear is it ends up there's going to be one transformation form that is just like game-breaking. And I also have a fear that
every build's going to be that.
It's either going to be that, or I think the caster form build where you're just doing a lot of support stuff and they get like heal over time and CC kind of stuff is just going to be just oppressive.
Like a lackluster feeling or overpowered, do you think?
I feel like they may have... I feel like they've overcorrected a lot in the history of the game. So it's either going to be one or the other. I don't think we're either going to get a Druid that's just functionally shit and nobody's going to play it except for people memeing, or it's going to be like Warlock was, where it's actually kind of broken, but not a lot of people realize it. Except I feel like with Druid, it might be more straightforward. Like imagine you have a class that has like a vines skill, which they already said that there's going to be some kind of like overgrowth, or
zoning. Yeah.
So imagine a class that can just put up a wall and vines in a doorway. And I put this on this little bingo, like the meme bingo checklist. If you remember that I made like a month and a half ago before we thought we were going to get Druid, where it's going to be overgrowth can block the door and wizards can chain lightning off of it. Like I just feel like there's going to be some really broken interactions.
I mean, the problem is it's going to probably hit like all 4 charges on the Briar patch or whatever. It'll be like 4 charges. So it's always just a dice roll. I feel like there's going to be a lot of problems with that though. The elevation thing coming from Overwatch and like Maze Wall, like pushing people up to unreachable parts of the terrain, coupled with double jump and just how player movement it is in response to when you say like spawn a Hydra.
Getting someone stuck with the like
getting people stuck or sticking people out of the terrain, or there's just so much stuff that I have a feeling once it comes out, it's gonna be Warlock eyeball remove and then just forget it was ever a thing for 3 months and then they hotfix it back in randomly. But yeah, I think Druid's gonna be it's gonna be fun to play because it's gonna have more control. But it's like how Judgment was OP at the start. Everyone complained about Judgment. It's just now they know to walk away. So Judgment subsequently gets nerfed. Every class gets nerfed. The more people are like, well, if I just don't walk into the Barbarian, I don't get hit by him. Play against the Warlock's drains. Watch the Druid just cast all his spells, do nothing, and then go kill him. You know, like there'll be like a meta that people will figure out over time. And I think they'll just demolish him.
No, this is like actual balance, though. Like it reminds me, like when Warlock came out, it was OP because we were Hydraing and we were Hydra blocking. And everyone's like, hey, just jump over that fucking thing and smoke them.
Yep.
And like that's how everything's been. And I kind of like that because it's all normalizing.
Earthquake.
Now you see a class and you know how to beat it or you know how to counterplay it, and that's where your map knowledge and your big PvP plays come from. Same
Yeah,
with
I love
Hydra.
the
Everybody was
collective
Hydra
whole.
chaining, but now if they put Hydra, you're like, oh, careful, there's a wizard, they're gonna chain.
Yep.
So like
It's like with the earthquake I was saying. You can at the start, earthquake dominated people. Earthquake plus one flame jar, that's a dead squad. People don't understand what to do. Now it's like, oh, he's earthquaking, thunk, 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 triple shot, you're dead.
Yeah.
Kevin, has that been your experience lately? That you earthquake, you die?
Earthquake's pretty
I don't
good.
earthquake anything. I don't earthquake anything anymore. I haven't earthquaked
I just released an earthquake video where we just destroyed everybody with it. You know, shameless plug. Go check that out on YouTube.com.
Earthquake Fireball is still one of the most deadly combos. Knocking them through the earthquake against their will because they're not trying to move and dealing extra damage is beautiful.
The earthquake isn't good on its own, but like it's just
it never has.
It's chef's kiss for setting up your team. It is hard crowd control in a game that has no business having hard crowd control in it. It is busted.
It's pretty stupid.
I made a Reddit post about it earlier today, talking about like they should really get away from spell design like this. Like in a game where time to kill is so short, having any form of hard CC is ridiculous.
Like if they're gonna stick with the design where the time to kill is super short like this, then I 100% agree. But if we end up getting 5 abilities for every class that they can use in combat, and people are gonna live longer, and it's gonna be a push and pull more similar to like Guild Wars or World of Warcraft, then it's fine.
Like right now, I'll end Earthquake, they die. Sorry.
No, you're good. A while back, you said add health to all the classes across the board. It solves a lot of problems. Now that, and I think you said that before they had split out Vigor into its own stat.
I've said it since playtest 1.
Right.
Like,
So what if we just add +10 to everyone's Vigor right now?
Sure. Longer fights. I want
more.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm with it.
I want more. I want like a 30-40% health pool increase. I want every single time. And I think normals brought this up as a big, like to the forefront thing. When the normals came out and people were PvPing in your like bastardized white gear, gray gear sets, fights felt great.
Amazing.
You didn't get too topped. Yeah. You didn't get too tapped. You had a back and forth. You had a chance to actually you made a mistake, but you actually had a counterplay opportunity because they made a mistake. It wasn't just like, oh, I did everything right in a half a second, you're dead. There was actual push and pull. Fights felt dynamic. Anybody could win. It was a really good experience. So I feel like adding more to the health pool gives us more of that push and pull and lets people's skill expression really shine. So yeah, I'm absolutely with Ken. I want bigger health pools by like a massive margin, not like an increase to defense, just longer fights. That's it. Nobody likes getting too tapped.
I'm gonna shill fighting games real quick. I've been a fighting game player for a really long time, and I actually Ken kind of smirking at this right now, but there's a lot of parallels between a game like this and fighting games. And obviously, if you're a newcomer to fighting games, some things might be lost on you, but there's a lot of different things from fighting games that take place in this game, like spacing, with punishing recovery, sort of recognizing patterns and conditioning your opponents. Those are sort of universal ideas that translate really well into a game like this. And when the fights go on longer and you have to make more correct decisions than your opponent and capitalize on their mistakes more over the course of the fight, it just feels better. And you can even then make an argument that gear can be stronger if people are allowed to live longer in fights, but just make gear do different things to make your character stronger, like be able to specialize at something. I know this is kind of like a tangent, but I am 100% with the add more health and let people express themselves more in combat. Sorry,
no. I agree, because I was gonna make a similar parallel, but with the most recent game I'm playing, Stormgate, and a game like StarCraft, where the time to kill in StarCraft is very, very fast. If you're looking away for 1 second and somebody just jumps your army, you just lose the game. But in Stormgate, like the health pools are so much higher that you'd have time to like micro fights and like make more decisions and just do more things. And usually the more skilled player wins the fight, and it just feels good. It's not just like who got the first strike type of thing. And I think that translates beautifully to these kind of games. I can't think of a game like where that doesn't work in. Like longer time to kill is usually better, like unless it's like egregiously long and it gets boring. But that's not where we're at. We're not even close to that in this game. I think like fights should last longer than 10 seconds, because at the high end, like good fights are over in literally 30 seconds. A good gold team versus a good gold team. Like, and we are stacking health, but like there's just so much damage that the fights are over so fast. And I just want more.
Damage ends up outpacing every other stat consistently over the course of all these wipes.
But you still stack health, so you don't get one shot because like that's
which is weird because you are literally like you're meeting these minimum requirements, but the goalpost never really changes. You're sort of always in this like the time to kill. If you're in equal gear, it sort of always stays the same, which I guess means that the gear is balanced as long as everybody's in the same type of gear. But it does create this weird dynamic where stats are, you have to hit these certain stat thresholds. And I think if you did just massively increase people's health, it would change the way people look at gear and their sort of build priorities.
Agreed. Well, hey boys, we're coming up on 2 hours here. Should we move to Q&A?
Sure thing.
Yeah, I'm with it. I just want to end on the note that Iron Mace is doing a lot of really good things, and I'm actually looking forward to the wipe. And we could have Steam release. I think in 2 weeks, if we had Druid and Marketplace 1.0, do you guys think we could be ready for Steam wipe?
If the servers
super
are good.
close, yeah.
Servers,
if the servers maintain,
Marketplace
if
works,
they maintain,
we have Druid.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say I agree with everything except for Druid. I think we need a little bit of testing time with Druid because I don't want to see the game go to market on Steam and have one class be either unplayable or completely broken and just completely dominate the meta, because that gamers are just so fickle when it comes to downvoting, like just review bombing a game. If there's just anything that sticks out like a sore thumb, people will just review bomb. So so
Druid has to be shit then. I'm for it.
Honestly, I would rather it be shit when it comes out and they slowly build it up than it be broken. And I think most games need to take that approach.
Cool. Agreed. Also, I like the health changes to health potions. I think being able to reset and like eat a certain bow arrow and then take a pot real quick, like that, those are good changes.
It's good for pacing. Yeah. I mean, but I was going to say earlier, people were talking about magical healing on Warlock. Chugging pots is like 2 health a tick now. It's kind of cracked. I got like 16 magical healing. So I start a fight, I'll chug a pot, and it's pretty bastardly. I love it. It's a ton of regen to keep you up.
I think they should remove magic healing and physical healing from recovery items and just continue buffing them more. I like the fact that
it's weird
are healing you more now because
I think they already did actually. Physical healing doesn't affect bandages anymore.
Yeah, they just they moved it to magical.
Not affected by a mage.
It's magical now.
Magical's definitely on potions. I'm using shitty pots. I'm getting 2 health per tick. It's like 3 out of 4 ticks give me 2 health.
I mean, it does feel good though. I like drinking a pot and it
takes like 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, but it's ticking twice now. It takes way more than 6 or 7. It takes like, I'd use the gray pots. I'm using the 20-second long or whatever, 15 health, but it's restoring like 28, 30.
Unironically, I love the bandages from Dungeonborne. They heal you for a massive amount of your health, but you move at an actual snail pace, like a full plate fighter crouch walking with a shield up could catch up to you. Yeah, it's like you're so slow and it can be interrupted by any damage. But if you do get it off, it heals a massive chunk of your health. I would love to.
That seemed to get down a lot as the scaling went up. By the way, like as you got like in more purple gear, it was like
it did.
Well, this doesn't do shit.
Right.
I mean, it still heals a pretty massive chunk, but relative to your health, it wasn't as good. But we have different healing qualities in this game, so they could definitely make it translate. But overall, I think the healing changes are going in the right direction. More survivability for classes that don't have incredible self-sustain is always a good thing in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, if I get hit by a ranger, I'm not like, here he comes, I'm fucked, dude.
He did 80 damage at range.
I just got a pot and bandage real quick, and I'm back. But all right, let's go to some Q&A chat. Hit us with your questions.
Is it just chat time? Let them ask you things.
Lord. Questions.
Yeah, you got any questions?
You read your chats?
I had a question
only during the podcast.
Tommy Gunn, who was asking about the Goblin Caves portals. How does everybody feel about them now? I think they actually feel fine for the most part. It could just be due to the population where there's less players overall playing Goblin Caves, especially in solos.
Are the Goblin Cave statics bugged? Because I've been noticing
they don't have
like I waited I waited a very long time and the gate never went up. I had to dip. I had to sprint away because I was concerned it was never going to actually go up. I don't know if it's like one specific extract. It was the one in the old Goblin war camp room.
That one opens
like,
up like the very end now sometimes.
Okay,
like,
so it opens literally at the very last second because I was
Yeah, like the
waiting.
last
I was on my
circle.
Warlock and I was like, I should just go to the ring.
Yeah.
Plus it's dark there now, so you have to have torches to like ever see if they're open.
I think overall the portal economy feels good in Goblin Caves, but it remains to be seen when we get a full player base and it's actually popping off.
I think it's dog shit, dude. I think we need more portals. There should be more ways out than less. It really feels bad to kill 2 or 3 players, and then at the end there's like maybe up to 2 other people, and there's only a solo portal, and like the portal comes up. There's like 20 seconds left in the match, and now you have to fight 2 other people. Like everyone's pretty much just dead.
I kind of miss the 3x3 Goblin Caves, to be honest.
I don't miss.
Like,
I just think there needs to be a triple portal at the end, even for solos, because you can camp it. And you can make sure people don't get out, but like there should be enough for everyone to get out. And then like if you play well or you just go PvP them, it's like, or you open one and then you just fight them to the last second and jump in. But like it sucks when you're running to it and somebody else opens it and you like open the door and it's gone and you're like, that was like the only portal I've seen for 10 minutes.
Maybe they should just do what because now that I've played Ice Map more, I actually really like that system, especially now that they've made it 18 minutes.
No ring.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just put because Ice Map and Goblin Caves are both 5x5s. So maybe they should just
perpetual static.
Yeah, just make it so that there's no zone in Goblin Caves. Make that exclusive to the crypts.
Add some elevators, maybe a fucking goblin ferry. I don't know, a boat. Do something, but give them,
Yeah.
Extracts in the boss
I didn't
rooms.
think that would be a good idea, but it actually is. Not having zone and goblin would be fine because like people are already
especially because
farming,
there's 2
so, like,
bosses.
You pretty much go toward mid anyway. Like shit gets farmed out, and so then you just go to like the MVP spots. You go to like Troll or Cyclops.
Yeah. I think 18-minute timer with no zone.
I was talking about that. The implication of no zone on like, because I know. All right, I'll let the secret out, but I do occasionally do some ratty crypt runs. All right, the truth be told.
You don't say.
But yeah, so when I would spawn in, I would be like, all right, first ring's gonna force me through these modules. I have like X time to clear. I need to make sure that I get this many purifies and catch the royals and the goldens on the way. Now with no ring, it's incredible. It's like you set your own path. You can completely control your area. Like when you're doing really ratty ass shit, I mean some real rat stuff. You're like, you leave a little certain layer of mobs. So, if somebody opens the door, you'll hear them aggroing something, like you do some real heavy, sneaky shit. And with the opportunity of having complete knowledge of the map, but also like, I don't have to worry about the ring forcing me out of position. I can do some real shit and never even see anybody. And you'd never know I was there. Like it's really a buff to the pacing of everything in the game, I think, as far as moving people along the map, as far as plotting loot paths and routes. It's just good for the game to get rid of the swarm.
Yeah, I was worried with like the elimination of the swarm, like you wouldn't run into people. But having these group static exits, they basically create hotspots. Everyone is like pathing, at least in Trio Ice Cave, people are all pathing towards either one of the 2 rafts or the elevator because they want to get out as a team and not split up for portals, which makes perfect sense. So like you still have like points of contention, and you still get into fights, and like you could just play the game how you want to play it. You're not forced to play a certain way, and I actually liked it a lot. That being
and
said,
the RNG of the circle has always been frustrating if it happens to just spawn and push you out of a complete nice path that you would have had alternatively, or force you into an unfavorable fight. It's like it's an aspect of control that they give it back, and it doesn't really hurt anybody in the long run. It just takes it takes away the benefits to people that would have been like on a inferno layer. If you happen to spawn with a circle outside and there's like 2 berserkers on one side, now you know where they're going to be coming from. You've already got portal positioning. You don't have to worry about clearing. The other squad is just scrambling to get to you. Like it creates an unnecessary advantage, and I think not having it is much better.
And having natural hotspots on the map where there's higher loot, and
or the extracts.
Yeah, I've always been a proponent of like just give like the royal coffins when they were like insane loot.
Oh yeah.
To me, that felt like the first step towards let's create these areas where people are like these are so good that the higher level players are just going to go, I want to get there right now because this is our best shot at actually like achieving something good on the map. And if you add more points like that with smaller but like lesser points, you're going to have you'll create this divide where like the strong players that are very confident are going to go for these. They might, while they pass the lower tier ones that the mid teams are going to look for, they might pass those teams and have a fight, but you're almost guaranteed to have 1 or 2 strong teams run into each other at these high value points of interest.
Yeah, it's forcing people through your map flow by design is like, making a functional V shape or like a place where everybody has to coagulate to move. Or you can draw them out with the carrot and leave lots of loot spots around the map that people are going to go for because the draw is just too much. So you can do that and move people around the map, and it creates a better pacing overall. And I think the game was designed with that in mind, rather than the circle mechanic that kind of just like, oh, well, I would love to go get that royal coffin, but it's out in bastard land surrounded by a champion and it's in the swarm. So I think the game just benefits greatly from the lack of having the circle pushing you around, so to speak.
It feels good.
I was worried about it too.
Good.
I was really like, everyone's going to rat. I'm never going to see any players.
Yeah.
It's going to be a camp fest. No, even as the solo swarm lord cleric, I do not miss the swarm.
Yeah, agreed.
And like
Then the chip damage reveals rogues
Yeah.
too. The one storm damage every 5
That's my
seconds
favorite
means
part.
that
My God.
it's a little like Iron Mace. I see what you have done there, you
Yep.
bastard smart peoples.
Cannot extract cam me, you bastard.
You can't do it. And I've waited 5 seconds. I know if you would be
Dude,
there.
I rogue check everything all
Yeah.
the time now. It's actually kind of frustrating.
It's just a habit that you get into.
I haven't had a rogue get the drop on me in a long time, and I don't intend to ever let that happen.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason I developed the Swarm Lord thing, is because I was pushing for rank 1 Goblin Caves, and landmine meta was at the peak. So it's like, well, what do I do to solve this? I'm going where you can't find me. You can't jump me here. Go ahead and try. And I never really got jumped by a rogue ever since that. So it's like, I stick to that story, and I fight by those rules. My playing field now.
I like when my chat just said the swarm should only exist on first floors. That way you have like the swarm on ruins because it's actually an open air space, and then you have the swarm up in like Ice Village or whatever the top is, and then you like drop down to the caverns to avoid the swarm.
The
Now you
locusts
just
don't
have-
come down here.
Yeah.
Caverns
Frost
has
kills
blizzard.
all.
I think I just like it being on ruins and crypts because it just it feels like it fits thematically, like the dark swarm being an influence of like whatever boss is in hell.
Oh, that's interesting.
Whereas on
Yeah.
ice maps you have the blizzard because it's just a natural environmental hazard. That you
Next
have to
step, we're
deal
going to
with.
get a desert map.
Right, and there's like a heat or something. You know, your
Damn.
vision.
I should be able to wear a coat and not get the blizzard effect. Yeah,
I mean, technically, you literally summon fire from your fingertips and your
Yeah.
toes, and so I imagine that would probably make things better. You know.
It's a soul chilling freeze.
Oh, there you go. It's an
turns-
evil
turns your aura.
freeze. Chills to the bone, you see.
Hey, let's revisit the health topic real quick. We got 2 guys in the chat here that mentioned having larger health pools might make it more difficult to 1vx. Thoughts?
Fact.
Is there any truth to that?
Yes, that is for sure thing. It also means third partying. The third party has a way better chance of winning if they're not going to get a 2-shot.
Yeah.
Because
That's
let's say
the
we have 500
consequence.
HP. But it's a consequence, but in most other games, there's some other mechanic to make up for that. Like Fortnite, when I kill
like
somebody,
armor
I get like
swapper.
50 health and 50 armor if I kill
Well, you
you.
heal
All right, let's
someone.
say
Now we might
consume
have
the
another
soul.
1v1.
You kill somebody, and once their squad is wiped, you can actually take their soul, use it as a consumable, and it heals you like 50 health and restores spells. Boom. Third
I
party
like
problem
that,
solved.
Yeah.
That's
like
a really
nice.
good call out. Yeah.
Yes.
Like that.
Because solos, you just like you rip their soul really quick and you just like you
Yeah.
burst it, and now
You
you
kill
get
a
like
man,
half your
crunch,
health. Yeah.
You've
That's not
got
bad.
2
Yes.
spells back and half
That's
your yeah.
brilliant.
But overall,
It's
that
like
is
stop
the
third
problem.
partying.
The more health
Yes.
there is, the harder it is when you get third party or 1vx.
And I will submit that getting a 1vx should feel like a fucking accomplishment, you know, like
Yeah.
currently if you're playing the right class against the wrong class, you just look at you. Congratulations, you beat down toddlers.
Yeah,
You know, like, it's just-
respectfully, if 1vx thing like consists of you one-shotting multiple people, in my opinion, that doesn't exactly feel deserved.
No.
Like,
Yeah,
not
like-
saying that you aren't a good player for doing that, but like, what you one-shot a couple of people, like I could do that, and I'm a fucking goober. So bad
Yeah,
I can fucking do that.
Yeah, I've seen so bad do it. No, but that is the idea, is like it should feel more like an
Sorry for the
accomplishment. So raising that bar means that you did a 1vx. Oh shit, dude. Like I know a guy who did a 1vx. Not like, okay, cool. Oh, was it 3 rogues? Cool.
Yeah, I do think that increasing the health will make 1vx harder, but also, yeah, I just agree with the sentiment overall. It's going to be more rewarding. And I will say, as a grain of salt for everybody watching in all the chats, a lot of the things that we suggest are really like things that we just want to try, not things that we think would fundamentally fix the game. And this kind of goes back to when we have a bigger player base and we can actually qualify to have test servers because of that player base, we can then just go like, all right, let's try these suggestions out. push them to the test server where they're not impacting the live server, and people who are actually interested in testing these things out and giving feedback can go there and do so.
Like give them the option, like instead of forcing a bad change on people. Yes, I understand. I want people to be like, wow, this looks like it might suck. Let me get my own opinion and go do the thing rather than cry nerf all day. You know, it's just, that's the way it works. Let them test it.
It's very knee jerk in this environment where we don't have the ability to test things before they go live, especially because gear doesn't change at the same time that stats change. So Savage Roar comes out, and gear hasn't changed at all. So Savage Roar is just like exponentially stronger because of the gear that Barb can get in high end. So, you know, would we have caught this if we had a playtest server? Almost definitely, but we have 5,000 people in dungeon at a given time. So that's really not something we can afford to do.
Yeah, I think the queue system definitely showed that we really, you guys want a split player base? Fine. That was Iron Mace. Like, we'll fucking show you what it does. Oh, okay, well, there's, half full lobbies around. That's to be expected, but
I prefer
prime time's still pretty nice.
I prefer running into, if I choose to run a map that I know is going to be less popular in whatever game mode I'm playing in, I prefer that over being forced to play something I don't want to play.
I agree. Absolutely.
True.
I like being able to just queue ice runes or ice caves all nonstop.
I do think queue time, like we said earlier, queue time should be a little bit longer than 2 minutes, so we actually get some filled lobbies. I think people can stand to wait longer than 2 minutes. Maybe try 3, 4, or 5, and then I do think there's less teaming. Like I haven't really ran into very many teamers. I think they did like a queue delay where you might get like separate queues from other people now, and there are less portals in Goblin, which now you do have to fight, and like people are taking fights because they know there's not enough guaranteed extracts. So that's
I've had to go both ways in Goblin caves where people are just like, we're at the edge of the circle, we run into each other, we look, the circle is going to close us both off. We don't even have time to fight because we still haven't both cleared. We got to go through the quad centipede room, and there's just, it seems to be, for me personally in solos, that a lot of the end result is the circle puts itself in a spot that's just never cleared by PvE. Like there's PvE all over it. And if you want to fight people, that's great. You better have a static plan because you're not going to make it to the circle. And if you do, now you have to clear all the PvE and hope nobody else is on the other side already waiting.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been my experience in Goblin caves. And I don't go for troll. I don't go for Cyclops. I just run the map. I'm just PvEing my way through fighting against the circle usually.
Yeah, my Goblin cave experience is always kill everybody so I don't get fucking cucked on the triple blue.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you don't find the triple blue, it can be miserable sometimes.
See, there's one blue in solos at the end. Like
I think that's why I like it, because now people actually fight. So I don't. My biggest problem always with the solos, like Care Bear environment, wasn't even necessarily that people were teaming or like everybody was being friendly. It was that even though you knew that everybody was being friendly, you could never be fully sure. And being in range of somebody and letting them get the first hit on you because you've let your guard down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just you lose a fight because of that.
I lost a full kit to a cheesecock loving piece of love mother kiss boy Warlock who, crouch ma'am, hello. Oh, hello. Nice to see you. Oh, I'm close to you now. I'm within curse range. I'm not friendly anymore. Just fight me, man. Just fight me. Come on.
That's why
you cheated yourself
like now, because it's just like, you know what? I'm fighting you, dude. I don't fucking care. We're not playing this game.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you stab me in the back.
Yeah, it's either that or the amount of people is dramatically increased who are like, I'm friendly, but only if you're like 8.5 feet away or further. All right, like don't fucking get near me. And like I feel like that's more respectable for like a dangerous world like this too. Like, hey, I saw you in tavern. You looked all right, but don't you come near me.
Yeah. Yep. Dude, I got this item for you. Let me just drop this here. I'm gonna drop a campfire, okay, bro?
Dude, I went into Crypts earlier, right before I went to go play and shredded with a buddy, and it was like my last match, and I was kind of just VoIP off, like watching Nate play Stormgate. Everybody was being friendly down in the crypts, and I just see them all huddling up in the vault room. Everybody's being cool, and I'm just keeping my distance. And they're VoIPing at me. I'm just staying quiet. I'm just keeping my distance. And then this guy goes and he starts putting down a campfire next to a barbarian. I'm like, don't you fucking put that campfire down. He's like, what? I'm like, don't you fucking put that campfire down. You go to the other corner of the room where nobody knows where you are and you put that down. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, you put that thing down and you die. That's on you. You sit down to a campfire next to a barbarian. That's your problem. That's your fault.
You gotta risk it once in a while.
I've done it. I put down the Kumbaya campfire. I've done it.
Gotta bring that people together.
I've died for that.
Oh yeah, I'll die for it. I'll die for it again too.
Get to be willing to lose everything, though. Yeah.
That's it. At that moment, if I'm friendly with you, it's because I've lost that kit. That kit's over. Like if you are within
I've
arm's
already
reach,
accepted it.
I'm dead. Like might as well just drop my campfire, pucker up, smile as it goes down.
Yep, that's me on my PvE cleric when I want to just boss and I have like purified
Yeah.
spells. I'm like,
Like,
look, if
hey,
you're gonna betray
I'm
me, just
hopeful.
kill me right now. Like, I'll just go regear. It's fine. I'm trash. I have PvE
Oh, you
abilities.
take the be pitiful so they don't even feel encouraged.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
play.
absolutely.
Hey, you know what?
Absolutely.
I'm a
Like,
cleric.
what's up,
okay?
dude? Wow, you're a big tough guy. You're a gold geared fucking PvP spec, and you ganked a naked cleric. Don't you feel like a strong man? You cheated
No, you
yourself.
just-
You're a pussy bitch.
I've heard it so many times, and it's happened to me where somebody just comes in, they're like, "Dude, if you just kill me, man. I don't even care." And I'm just like,
Like the class,
I don't-
like,
I don't
You
go
can't
with that
kill
one.
them at that point. You just
like,
can't
I'm,
kill them.
I'm having a
Sorry.
bad day, bro. Like,
This guy's down bad.
I always let them go. I always let
Yeah,
those
those
guys go.
ones
100% of the
live,
time.
alright.
I'm like, bro, do you need some heals? You need something? Like,
You
you
need
got
some
you want to
gold?
talk to me, bro? My Discords
Yeah.
are open. Like, please, man, is
chat,
it
if you're
okay?
if you're having a hard time getting a demigod chat, there's your strategy. Just
Just
be
beg.
really pathetic.
Yeah.
100%.
really
I always
pathetic.
spare them. I was gonna spare them anyways, but yeah, when they're like, bro, if you're gonna just kill me, like just kill me, man. I had like 8 deaths in a row. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, I got
don't
your
even
heals.
have
I'm making
anything,
sure you
dude.
get out at
Kill
the
me.
expense of my own kit.
Yeah, look, if
Like,
you kill
I
them,
will
they might
drop you my
uninstall.
juice.
Okay, you gotta protect the
Yeah.
player base.
Yeah,
Right.
it's fun. We treat our Timmies right.
All right, boys. Should we end it there? We treat our Timmies right. We got a wipe in 2 weeks.
It's a good place
Things
to
are
end
looking
it.
up. Servers are good. Classes seem fairly balanced. Fuck clerics, they suck.
You son of a bitch.
Cleric's great. You know, I think it's okay.
Trios.
All right, boys. It's been a fun one. We can keep
Yeah.
rambling forever. I think we've got a
Yeah.
lot to talk about for the next week. But
Mhm.
EndBoss, let's just hear from you one more time. Where can everybody find you? Link, plug yourself.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
assuming
I
most
can do
people
that
here
on
know
stream?
who you are, but just just make sure you blur it out.
Yes, so I stream pretty much 7 days a week at twitch.tv/theEndBoss, and that's the best place to find me. Or you can find my wonderful little cleric shenanigans on YouTube, twitter.com/theEndBossTV. Yeah, feel free to stop by. I make a lot of noise.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks
Alrighty,
for coming
well-
on the show, man. It was a very
It was
good
great.
time.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We will do it again for sure.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, boys. Have a good night,
Cheers,
everybody.
gentlemen.
Arcane, feel better as well. We know you've been sick, so
Yeah,
you
it's-
get 100%.
Yeah.
I'm still not
I feel
quite
that.
back yet. All
Yeah,
right.
the-
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
you
Cheers
guys
to the
doing
fluid
it today
demigod.
for me.
Okay, thanks again, guys.
You get it.
Yeah, you're off the podcast, so you're demigod.
Fair enough. Should
All
be
right,
see you
tomorrow.
next week.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Hey,
All right, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Shitters.
And